My dad was a starter back in the days when they used pistols.
Oh,
We had a pistol with a bunch of blanks, you know,
I am
bucket full of blanks in it.
I was a starter. I am grateful to have missed that.
It was loud.
Yeah.
Just a few more seconds, we'll get started. Anybody else?
Celeste is joining
Remotely.
Zoom,
Are you online, Celeste?
Yeah, she just popped in me.
Oh, Aaron, you're doing the staff report. Oh, awesome. Presentation.
Hey Celeste, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Great.
Hi. Oh, there you are.
Recording in progress.
Okay, the big hand is on 3 and the little hand is on 5, so let's get started. Call the meeting to order and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Declaration of potential conflict, Captain.
I actually have one. I'm also on the board for SEPRD, so I will probably recuse myself from the discussion.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Sue?
None that I know of.
I think I'm good.
None for me. Celeste?
None for me.
Okay. Public comment. Oh, yeah, public comment. Marty?
Thank you. I just wanted to say how relieved I am to see the board is finally taking the concerns of the swimmers, the people who use the locker room and the shower area in the women's locker, that they're finally taking serious our concerns and our complaints about the slippery condition of the floor in the women's locker room. And that a solution that at tonight's meeting, you will be coming up with a solution to remedy that problem and make the floor safe again for those of us who shower at the pool. So I want to thank you, and I look forward to an update, Kyle. I don't know if I'll get an update from you
You'll
or
get it at the
Sue.
board meeting.
Pardon?
Well, you'll get the update, will be what we discussed.
Right, I don't think I'm going to be able to stay for the board meeting.
Okay, how about if I have Skylar just log the time that the discussion starts on the floor, and you can just ask Skylar for where to look at it on
Really?
when you review the tape.
I can do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't have to sit through the whole meeting, you can review the
okay,
tape.
so there's a way to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I had no idea.
Yeah, staff will help you out, Marty.
Oh, boy. Well, actually, Isaiah was very helpful
Isaiah will show you how.
before, earlier. Okay, so at some point then I can connect with you and
Yeah.
get some help. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. And, are there any other public comment? Anybody online?
Don't think so?
No? Correspondence?
No correspondence this
No
morning.
correspondence. Megan McEwen, please come forward. You're our Employee of the Month, this month. And let me read what has been said about you. Congratulations to our Employee of the Month, Megan McEwen. Megan serves as head guard and LGIT, and she recently received an incredible milestone by earning her EMT license. Congratulations. Her dedication, leadership, and passion for safety and training make her an invaluable asset to both our team and the entire district. Megan consistently goes above and beyond to support her coworkers, enhance training programs, and ensure the highest standards of professionalism. We're so proud to have her on our team. Congratulations, Megan. As a reward for your work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I would like to add that Megan and Laura have known each other for somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 years. Laura sends her congratulations. Thank you. But in addition to that, I have watched the two of you and then watched you when Laura went off on a different path. And I'm just very grateful for your dedication, very grateful for your leadership. I always know that the kids are safe and the kids are they are learning, when they're in the pool, and I'm just grateful for you. And I thank you for being a friend to Laura and, an employee at Sunset Empire Park and Rec. How many years?
27.
Yeah.
Wow.
We came here.
Time flies.
We came here, have you known Laura that long? We came here
She was little, I mean, I remember,
Yeah, so 28 years is how long we've been here.
yeah.
Wow,
Wow.
pretty cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Megan.
Thanks, Megan, congratulations. Now, Bonnie, will you come forward, please, and listen to all the wonderful things people are saying about you?
Okay, cut the wires out, come on, you guys.
Well, I do want to say first that this picture of Bonnie receiving his award says it all. I mean, it's very impressive. Bonnie was honored at the recent Oregon Recreation and Park Association conference by the aquatics section for excellence in aquatics programming. Bonnie is an amazing person, dedicated fitness instructor. His award celebrated him for his dedication, innovation, and leadership. Bonnie was able to attend the presentation at the conference, Eugene, earlier this month, and this is the picture they took. Bonnie, thank you. I'm glad you're on our
That's going in
team.
the signal, Bonnie.
And congratulations.
My pleasure, my pleasure. On the backs of wonderful people like Megan. There's lots of excellent people at Sunset Empire Park and Recreation. And we follow the leadership of Sunset Empire Park and Recreation. When that excellence is set by the man that runs this organization for us, he inspires us to be the best we can. He provides things, and I'll give you an example of his leadership. He provides cards for us so that if we have somebody who is sick or ill or isn't feeling well, we can send out a get well card, or we can send out a congratulations card. We have a whole drawer full of these wonderful cards that he has there for us to be able to network with our patrons and keep that family connection going. So if somebody's not feeling well, we want them to know that we're thinking about them. And that get well card is there. Or if they have a baby, we have a congratulations card that we can send them and say, yay for the baby.
Make sure you don't mix those cards up.
We probably have to. I have to probably have something like. But again, Megan and I achieve what we achieve in our careers, in our lives, because of the leadership of our organization. And Skylar does a wonderful job. We have Aaron, we have Zoe, we have wonderful leadership in all areas, Isaiah, in all areas of our organization. So I accepted that in Eugene on behalf of all of them. But I thank you for thanking me.
Thank you, Bonnie. This is about you. Don't deflect the praise away from yourself. This is about what you've done, and we want to thank you for that.
Well, and
Thanks.
I personally just want to say thank you because I get to be in the pool 5 days a week, so I get to be in several interactions with Bonnie and then at the social hour that you put forth. And I want to commend you for that effort, that work, because people really appreciate it, and it shows that the care of you and Sunset Empire Park and Rec goes forward and embraces a huge family of people.
That's a perfect example of excellence, because he's been to the happy hour, she's been to the happy hour, he's been to the happy hour, reaching out to our patrons. And we're here because of our patrons. And we owe a great debt of gratitude for them to be able to tolerate that stuff. but we're here because of that. So again, thank you very much for the accolades. But again, I'm on the shoulders of wonderful people like Megan. And there's a whole bunch of people like me and Megan there, a whole bunch of us.
Well, and I want to add beyond that, for me personally, years ago in Sandy's class, you came up to me and said, I think you'd benefit from this Zoe's class on Tuesday and Thursday because my left arm was a problem. And sure enough, that advice, this left arm healed. And it's because you sent me in the right direction, and you continue to do that for the rest of the patrons. And so I'm just so grateful to be able to know you, Bonnie, and to know that you're in there swinging for Sunset Empire Park and Rec, and each and every one of us has knows you have their back.
That's right.
Thank you.
Right.
You're a rock
That's
star,
right.
Bonnie. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
All right,
Thanks,
take care. Staff, presentation, Aaron.
Thank you.
You are awesome.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sorry,
You
I'm
don't have to
Maybe
stay.
be less nervous.
We're not gonna punish you by being employed, by making you stay for the board.
But you are invited. Right there.
Right here.
Can you do a microphone test for Michael?
Say check 1, 2.
Yeah.
Check 1,
Say
2.
Mary had a little lamb or something.
Check 1, 2.
Looking fine.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
I'm gonna be really bad and put on a hat indoors.
Do you want us to
No,
do that?
dark.
You
See
sure?
what it helps.
See if we do half, is that
Are you
okay
okay?
for folks? We do half light?
Oh, that's just fine. Are you okay, Catherine?
Oh, I just.
You have migraines?
Kill me.
Yeah, these lights are no good. Oh, God, okay. All right, Aaron, you just cue me when you're ready.
Okay. Well, as always, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I would say that my presentation will be a little bit different from a year ago, just because a little bit has changed with my position. So I just want to share a little bit about that. So tonight I'm going to just talk a little bit about, kind of give you a refresher of my background and how that relates to my new role as Director of Programs, and share some info on kind of the transitions that we've had recently. Talk about my process, kind of my big picture of how I envision my role, introduce you to the dream team that you already know and love, our full-time staff that I support and help in programming, some of their big successes, and then some info in regards to Seaside Kids, and then the road ahead. So I asked kind of my full-time staff, what are some things that you would like to see in the next year in your programming? So just a little bit of background. I graduated with a degree in elementary education, and, you know, I have my teaching degree, but I always felt like I wanted to do something more besides what can happen in a classroom. I taught preschool for a little while, but then quickly moved into some recreation programs as a program director for the Boys and Girls Club in Long Beach, and then spent almost 11 years at Astoria Parks and Recreation, both doing these programs, but when I first started, I was in senior and adult programming, fitness, special events, and even cross-trained in aquatics. So it's a bit serendipitous. I suppose that I had some of that experience, even though youth programs is really my wheelhouse. But now I'm back in getting to do a little bit of everything, everything that I'm passionate about. So it's awesome. In February is when I took over the role, when Justin left us, and was doing kind of dual roles. So I was director of programs, and then holding on to youth programs for a little bit until we were able to hire Mackenzie Greenwell. So it was a bit of a rigorous process getting her, getting everybody through that hiring or that application process, but we really wanted to make sure to take extra care and find the right person for that position. And I'm very thankful that we were able to pull her from within. She's really, not that any transition or change is ever seamless, but I really feel like she's been able to carry on operations just as normal. So I'm very thankful for that process and to find her. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a picture of my brain right now, of what I'm thinking and where I'm, you know, with this new role in this position. So I feel like it's a lot of puzzle pieces that fit together to kind of create our overarching goals of awesome programming that serves the community. But essentially, right now, my goal, I'm really trying to immerse myself in all of our programs. Like I said, youth programs is my wheelhouse, but I've been spending a lot of time in fitness and aquatics and even the senior meal program here. So really trying to immerse myself in those programs, kind of get an idea of our patrons' experiences from start to finish. So looking at registration processes, looking at their experience in the class, and just kind of taking all of that information in. Along with that, we'll be looking at more key data in terms of kind of participation, looking at financial data too, kind of my next step. But along with that comes kind of the conglomerate of our staff and our team dynamics. And that really goes hand in hand. We can't have these wonderful programs without our amazing staff. But we have to look at a lot of different things, and everything has to kind of meet together. Was kind of my last goal of just collaborating with our team to sustain or create additional quality programming that aligns to district goals. So this is the dream team really quick. Like I said, you already know and love them. Zoe with Events and Recreation, Lindsay and Ashley Wolf, Aquatic Coordinator and Supervisor, Mackenzie Greenwell, our new Youth Programs Coordinator, and Chris Duffy, Nutrition here at Senior Meals. I'm not going to go through every single bullet point on here because I think we'd be here for a while, but I just wanted to share some highlights. I asked our full-time staff, what are some things that you want me to share tonight? And I would say kind of the big takeaway with Zoe with Events and Recreation is immense growth. So farmers market growth from 40 to 65 vendors, turkey trot growth 200 to over 500 participants, and we're in registration right now, so we're at about 150, so hopefully we're going to get back up there again for this year. Start Smart, 50 to 25 participants, and then also just a new program that she started, it's the high school pickleball program, which is great. Aquatics, like I said, I could go through each one of these bullet points, but I think one of the things that I really want to highlight is the training that has been taking place. And Megan is a huge part of that. Lindsay and Ashley are a huge part of that. But I've gotten to spend quite a bit of time. I became trained as a lifeguard and certified as a lifeguard, so I got to go through that whole process and really see our staff working firsthand, and that was a pretty awesome experience. I got to help today with some more certification processes, and it really, I don't know how to explain it, but today we're doing CPR and, rotating and doing the AED and all this stuff, and we were all in sync, and it gives me goosebumps to think about how much goes into this process of keeping our patrons safe. And I'm just so stinking proud to be a part of this team, and to be able to support them and to learn from them. So,
Can I add something?
yeah.
Yesterday, five patrons, including me, were in the hot tub, and we were watching the work going on with the training of 2 lifeguards, and the banter in there was, look at that, isn't that amazing? What if that was me? And I mean, and the conversation was like, thank you for doing the training because we know we're safe. And I wanted to share that with you since that was incredible to see that personally. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Big successes, in youth programs. I think the biggest one that I would like to highlight is just the positive transition from me stepping out to Mackenzie stepping in, and being able to kind of just continue operations as normal. She already knew our processes, she already knew our kiddos and our families. Obviously there's little hiccups along the way, but man, it's been really to pass off my baby, to pass off a program, programs that I care so much about. I'm just really thankful for that. When I did ask my staff if there was anything else to share with the board, the one thing that Mackenzie offered is, she said, tell the board to come volunteer. So if any of you are ever interested to come hang out with our preschoolers, please let us know, because we'd love to have you. You can see it firsthand, the hard work that all those teachers and staff are doing. And then Chris Duffy with Senior Meals. So 16,000 meals served over the last year, 8,000 served here at the Bob's, and 8,000 personally delivered. We have, this Friday, they're going to have a sing-along here in the hall for Halloween, which is pretty awesome. Not only are they serving meals, but they're really serving a community, and I know that he recently presented and was able to share a lot of that information, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but there's just some really great things happening over here. But the big highlight, nearly 3,000 hours from community volunteers is pretty remarkable.
So what has been the growth in meals served over the last 5 or 6 years? Are we serving more or less than we were before?
That's a great question. I'd have to double check. I'd have to check with Chris in terms of previous data. I think I think it has grown, but I don't have the exact numbers.
Okay.
And they've changed things a little bit to where, during COVID, they were doing the drive-up meals, and that's no longer available. It's just in-house or, delivering directly to homes. But from what it sounds like, it has increased. I just don't have that number.
Okay.
So Seaside Kids is, a big part of the Director of Programs position. It's something that over the last couple of years, Justin has worked on to increase that partnership with them. And so, just like Mackenzie had to, kind of hit the ground running, with summer programming, youth programming, this is something, right as I came on board, we were starting registration for baseball and softball and t-ball. So over all these teams, we had, almost 300 players. So 7 teams for t-ball, 5 for softball, and I think 9 for baseball. So pretty big amount, of kiddos, to serve. And we were able to assist with the registration process, and try to streamline some of those processes. The picture behind here is, one of our newest, fields. This is the Lighthouse Field, behind the Lighthouse Church. It was a long time, a lot of resources, a lot of time, energy, money that went into, building this field. It wasn't quite done in time for either baseball or softball, but our T-ballers, were able to, play games and practice out there. So we're hoping to use that a little bit more, season. Okay. So, like I said, I checked in with my full-time staff and tried to get some ideas on some areas for growth or things that they would like to see. To me, my role is to support them in their vision, and as long as it aligns with district goals, I'm here to support them and make these dreams come alive. So, for recreation and events, is always really hoping for more comprehensive fitness opportunities and space. And I think a lot of that is going to come hopefully with occupancy at the SRC and the ability to expand our space over there. She wants to expand community arts and potentially bring back some adult sports leagues. Aquatics, you know, we have this swim lesson program that fills up every single time, every single section, and a huge thing would be able to grow that program. But we need more instructors to do that, so that's a big goal of Lindsay's. We'd also like to offer some private swim lessons for some of our young kiddos. We have Carolyn, who does a phenomenal job, and I would say her wheelhouse is definitely with more elite swimmers or those that are, I guess, looking for more of a competitive nature. So to be able to offer some programming for some younger kiddos that need that individual one-on-one attention would be great. Youth programs, our goal obviously is to license our licensing. We're just kind of waiting on occupancy for that, and to hopefully expand capacity there. Senior meals, you know, Chris touched on the fact that we have so many volunteers and they put in a lot of hours. His goal is to potentially find a way to offer volunteer discounts through the district and through senior services to encourage their use, but also recognize the contributions that they're giving. He also would like to incorporate more organic and non-genetically modified foods to boost patron health and well-being. Seaside Kids, I know this is on the agenda for tonight, but our goal is to strengthen our partnership with them, to streamline the processes, and to, you know, we have so many things already in place at the district to be able to support this organization and just kind of take their programs to the next level. So I'm excited at the possibility of that. Like I talked about, our hope is to continue and increase the use of the Lighthouse Field. Last year we talked about some sort of an opening day celebration for this spring to celebrate that space, but also to recognize all the folks that put so much time and energy and financial resources into it. So be watching for that, because I think that'd be a fun event to go to. So. Thank you again so much for your time. I do want to say, at the beginning of my presentation, I think underneath there I put transition and growth from within. And I just want to reiterate my appreciation for the opportunity to grow within the district. Youth programs is my wheelhouse, but I can't tell you how excited and passionate I am about continuing to support the district in a bigger way. And I think that is something that Skylar really, encourages. We have a lot of staff that grow from within, and, I'm just, again, thankful for that opportunity, and thank you for meeting us.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
A question, how would the board, volunteer to observe the preschool kids? What's that process?
Yeah, so we would, especially with licensing requirements, right now, most likely we would have, our, board members go ahead and fill out a background check, and then schedule times with Ms. McKenzie, that would be appropriate, and whether it's just coming in just to provide additional support, or if it's a special project. Sometimes they, especially around the holidays, there's a lot of things going on, and extra help, or an extra set of hands is really, helpful. So it would get your clearance, and then we schedule it with Ms. McKenzie and get you in there. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Do we tell you just to do that now?
Yeah, I can, if anybody is, okay, if you're interested.
I mean, I just got my Sunday school clearance, so it should be pretty quick.
Sunday school.
You have to.
They know you're not Satan.
No, there has to be two adults
In the room.
in a room with any child.
It's like, safe soon.
And I want to ask, or just mention, once upon a time when Laura, my daughter, who's been gone from the district quite a while, when she finished college, there was a master's program for swimming, and that was actually encouraged here in addition to the swimming that was done with the high school. And I know North Coast Swim Club used to be here, so I wonder if there isn't a future there.
It's very possible. Yeah, I think, again, I always want to refer to my staff, to Lindsay, and, you know, what she feels like would be, the best fit for our facility and programming, but I think it's definitely worth looking into.
I mean, I once upon a time was a swim judge, so I could do it again. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
So, before we continue, is it okay with everybody if we leave the lights dimmed a little bit to protect, Catherine?
You don't have to, but I
We don't have to, but, I'm perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm in the dark most of the time. Okay, so thank you again, Aaron. Approval of meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from whatever date that was.
That
September
was September 23rd.
2025. I had no correction.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Way to go,
exactly.
Skylar.
Works okay to me too.
Yeah, is there a second, since we have a motion? Do we have a motion on the floor? I think we do.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor, or no? No, we don't have to do a roll call vote for this. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm gonna abstain.
And
I wasn't here.
an abstention.
Yes, actually, if the minutes are no changes,
Please, when you get a second.
approved as they stand.
Second page.
And then, review of financials. Anybody have any thoughts and questions?
I know Chris isn't here, and I talked with him earlier, and I'm sorry, I came up,
He said that you didn't have any
I
questions.
didn't have any questions, and then
So he was shocked.
I looked at that today, and I went, shoot. I have one.
You don't have to have a question.
No, but Skylar, I bet you can answer it, because it's just simply, there was a check written to Haley for $1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, great question. So as you may remember, when Haley left employment with the district, I think we kind of recognized that we were going to be in a little bit of a hole in terms of marketing. We felt like we could cover our HR perspective with me lending a hand, and also contract services if we got to a point where we would need that, but we were worried about marketing. So we had a contract in place with Haley for about 3 months after she left here to provide remote marketing services and create flyers and do marketing for us. And that contract has run out or expired now, but, that's what that permit was for.
Yeah, I thought about, I actually looked for him this morning to say, I'm sorry, I have one question. So, thank you.
I could answer that one, yeah.
Well, yeah, I said, you know what, this is a no-brainer, just ask him. Thank you.
Just a couple of thoughts. It's like the revenues are slow and coming in, seems like this year.
Yeah, I think we've gotten, like, I get a notification from the county when we get a disbursement,
Mhm.
and, we're getting more of those now. I think that will pick up, between now and our November board meeting, we'll get the bulk of our tax revenue. It will state, and I don't know how it's exactly, presented in the financial or in the revenue and expense report, but all that transactional stuff that we did over the last 6 weeks has all been completed, so pleased with that. That was a lot of kind of extra things that we were doing in paperwork and processes, some of it that we've never done before. Appreciate Chris and the other people that helped get that squared away. Kind of an ordeal. Love to avoid not having to take out a trade loan or to take out other financing for projects, as I'm sure you all would too.
Any other comments on the financials?
I have none.
I'll move that we approve the financials from September 2025.
All in favor, so signify.
Aye.
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 And we got
Great. All right, I'm just gonna, touch base with Brandon. I was just gonna send him a text to let him know that we were ready for him. He is looking to join. Oh, shoot. He is going to join us. You guys doing okay temperature-wise? A little too hot, just right?
Thanks for asking.
Sorry, it can get a little wonky in here. You know? Stay hydrated, folks.
I got water, I guess. You should find it in the bin.
Celeste, you're on the road, but where are you at? Somewhere fun?
Yeah, I'm actually in the Bay. We were in Denver for our staff retreat last week, and then we took a little side trip. My husband and I are taking a slow road home, so we went through the desert, the Mojave Desert, through Arizona, Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. Now I'm in the Bay Area. I'm going to spend Halloween with the grandkids in Grants Pass, and then I will be back.
awesome.
Wow, wonderful.
And hopefully you guys got rid of all the rain, right, while I was gone?
No, the rain's coming back.
We called in more.
Actually, Celeste, I'm almost grateful for the downpour on Friday night because we have bear in our neighborhood.
I've noticed that. I've seen neighbors that are posting up in Sunset Hills, right? Yeah?
Yeah. And Sunset Hills and the whatever to the north, there's
Yeah.
at least 3 bears. So I called the police and then who told me to call the state police, so I did that and they said, call us if you see a bear.
Oh, are we supposed to do that when we see him at school?
Well, what?
We just walk
Yeah.
down to school.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bears aren't in our neighborhoods, we're in their neighborhoods.
I know.
It happens every year this time.
I've seen them down here at my house.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, we've got them on video, and I've been told
There
that
he is.
people have a bear, there's a
We've
pregnant
got
bear
Brandon.
next door.
Hey, Brandon, can you hear us?
Hey guys,
We are,
can you hear me?
yeah, we can.
Nice, good to see everybody.
You too.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, well,
We're ready for you, Brandon.
yeah, Brandon, do you wanna kick us off? Yeah, we
Sure.
haven't touched
Yeah,
the topic yet, but you take us away.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can jump in. So, good to see everybody. Looking forward to today's conversation, some good conversation. So, you know, I went back and watched, I don't know if Skylar mentioned, but I went back and watched last month's board meeting. And just to kind of get up to speed, I knew you guys were meeting and chatting, and obviously Skylar and I have had follow-up conversations over the last month. And so Skylar asked me to kind of start off, just at least letting you guys know that I had watched that meeting and gone back and listened to the points. And I took a bunch of notes, and I thought maybe I could kind of start there just to kind of level the playing field and stop me, ask questions. You know how this goes. I like to have a discussion. But some of the things that I heard in your all's discussion were things like, you know, doesn't hold the reader's attention. No programming. There was a question regarding gap analysis and actually incorporating community feedback. There was some question about, you know, staff review and a comment that this is potentially maybe a tool for staff. There was reference to statute 266 and maybe having some history component about that measure. I think, you know, I wrote down 1969, how did we get here? There was reference to maybe putting it into ChatGPT and trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly. I think there was reference to like an 8th grade reading level. And the comment there was like, you know, you can't hand a document to someone on the street, and, you know, a layman wouldn't maybe understand it. Someone commented it was rich in info, just maybe missing direction. Seems like it's heavily focused on facilities. It's, there was a question about Darren and working on grants, programming priorities, and that the document doesn't say what it needs to say. So I wanted you all as a board and as a group to know that I pride myself in being able to listen. And so I watched and listened, and I took a lot of those notes. And obviously, for me, you know, it's concerning because I know where you guys stand, and I understand the level of effort and work, commitment, investment, all of that in this. And so I want you guys to know that, you know, I'm here, SDA and SFA are here, and I want to get this right. But I feel like there was 3 things in all of the conversation that I listened to, and again, I wasn't able to, like, I wanted to jump in and, you know, help drive the conversation, but just listening kind of put me in a little different place. And the 3 things that I really kind of pulled out of that and told Skylar that I thought as a group we could maybe lean into today is a question on who develops the program, right? Just in general, who develops the programming? Is that staff? Is that consultants? Is that the board? Does the community drive that? But, you know, I really was asking myself after hearing all the comments, who is developing the program, right? As a collective group, I think we need to talk about that. And then the second question was, who's the audience, right? What is really the intent of this document? Who is it intended for? And I feel like we should have that conversation because, again, that creates a common ground. And then, these aren't necessarily questions, but I wanted to make the statement that, you know, as a board, you all provide the marching orders, right? And so you guys are the ones that really give Skylar, myself, the other consultants involved with the direction. And I want you guys to know that, right? But that also puts a little bit of burden on you all to have a common voice, kind of a common perspective, and be unified, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean the board on its own as an entity, but us as a team. And then, Kyle, I felt like you said a couple times, and I kept hearing you say it, so I wrote it down in big letters, you know, land the plane, right? And how do we get to recommendations, suggestions on how to land the plane? This has been going on for a long time, you know, the effort to do the master plan, and it started with the highest and best use study, you know, for the SRC. So even before we actually started doing community engagement, work sessions 2 years ago, the master plan effort started beyond that, right? And my concern with time is, one, there needs to be a realization that this will always be a living, working document that you always will kind of come back to and refresh. And I think I've stated in the past that could be 2 to 3 years, but no more than 5, right? And so the timeline that we're on, some of the projects, some of the efforts identified in the master plan are already maybe even sunsetting, right, with that time. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. But I'm here today to not necessarily right the ship, but hear from you all, and then as a group get a path forward to how we can land this plan. So, but I thought we could talk about who's the audience, who develops the programming, and maybe that just starts the conversation. Skylar, how'd I do?
Great. It was a little windy, but besides that, it was great. No, I'm just kidding. That was great, Brandon. Thank you.
That's how you learn to play.
Can I jump in with a first at bat?
You're the first one with your hand up.
See, I have my hand up tool. Okay, so first of all, Brandon, I really appreciate you coming forward with it so that we can have an honest conversation about it, and appreciate that you invested the time to not only listen to the board comments, but also to do some analysis about what we all said and to compile it like that. So greatly appreciate that. So thank you for that. A couple things that I would say. So one of the pieces that I think we need to get clear on is you've used the terminology here, master plan, which is different than what I perceive this project as, which I think the additional RFP was for a strategic plan. And to me, there is a separation between that, because I think a master plan is usually for a construction or facilities kind of project. And that's actually more your wheelhouse than my wheelhouse. For an organization, a strategic plan always incorporates programming.
Correct. Yeah, and I forgive you for that. I don't want to, a little bit of semantics on my part, so I don't mean to muddy that wall, but you were correct, Celeste. Yeah, I should be referencing it as a strategic.
Well, because it is an important distinction about, I think maybe or at least what I was expecting, I would say that for myself, is I was expecting a strategic plan, which was holistic to the organization, and frankly, might include things like leadership guidance and other things that an organization needs, as opposed to a master plan for a construction project. So that's one of the pieces for me that I think so the holistic part, to me, the big missing piece is the programming stuff, and here's why, and I can give you some, I don't have the strategic plan in front of me.
Sure.
There's only, I think, 2 pages, and they're both charts, that actually address programming planning for the future in the whole document. And they're just charts, so it doesn't go into any detail. And also, in one of the charts, it feels cut and paste, because it lists things like expansion of trails. And I'm like, wait, we don't have any trails. That isn't something we do. So it lists things that are like maybe exist in other park and recreation districts, and nothing.
I think Celeste, sorry, not to cut you off, so I apologize there. No, the intent is that the document is specific, to SEPRD as a district. So reference to trails is, even though they don't exist today, we've kind of talked about creating a trail, loop around the entire campus and connecting the campus in kind of a pedestrian way.
Well, so that's a good example. Like, there's no explanation. It's just it's like one bullet point line in the document. Right. There's not explanation about that. And there are some others, and I could go through and list some of those, but it was like, wait, I'm not sure where this came from, because it feels misplaced. Maybe there's an explanation, but it's just the clarity is there. Yeah.
There's all good explanations of what you know that. But I think there's a little bit of maybe misperception, right? One thing that I noticed, because I was writing down page numbers as you guys were rattling them off, so I could go back and look, and there was one comment you made that I couldn't quite track, but you made reference to like page number 6. So up front in the part of the executive summary, talking about like level of service recommendations include the following, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4 categories. And an example, I'm just going to read off real quick, was like implement a comprehensive facility maintenance schedule to ensure assets remain safe, accessible, and well maintained. Okay, the document, that example is where the document is providing guidance for the district to go and do work, right? Like, it states that you need as a district to implement this maintenance plan, right? And the maintenance plan ensures, safety, accessibility, and that the overall facility is well maintained. That's different than, well, we're gonna give you a maintenance plan that's based on your facilities and schedules and kind of lay that out. So I feel that there may be a little bit of muddying the water, using that as an example, because I do feel like the programming that's recommended, again, is very specific to SEPRD. It may not be as clear in tying facility and programming together, but the document does point to a lot of work that, the district would have to do. And like, for example, the pool building. I mean, it states that the pool is a project in itself, and the district needs to go and develop that project, right? Create goals, visions, create the comprehensive plan for it, create the funding structure, and then implement that project in that plan. The strategic plan would not lay out all of the steps to do that, to actually create that bullet point, right? So I feel there may be a little bit of muddying that, if you will, throughout the document, because I don't believe SFA ever really intended to come in and develop programs. I think they intended to look at your programming, take the survey, and make some suggestions, but it really leans on the district to develop the programs themselves, right?
I don't, well, at least, I would say, I'm looking for analysis about, but maybe I'm missing it, because there's a chart on page 69. I don't know what I said about it, but my focus was on page 69. That's the only place I'm really seeing where we talk about programming.
Well,
Program recommendations. So I'm just, maybe it's someplace else, maybe I don't have the most current draft.
Now, 67, when you look at the asset strategy matrix, that's in chapter 3, that's 65 to 68. That's more...
Like, there's nothing that talks about our senior services as a program, and like what kind of programming we would do for seniors specifically. We talk about the facility, we talk about South Chisholm, but we don't talk about what kinds of services for seniors.
That's in the gap analysis, right? That's like more in chapter 2, 2.7. After benchmarks, trends, and gaps, this talks about where you have gaps between your services and facilities. And what we always said in the work sessions was what's limiting your ability to develop and implement programming are the facilities, right? And that's why I kind of leaned heavy into it. But asset benchmarks, gap analysis, core program areas, this talks about aquatics, athletics, personal development, continuing education, senior adults, senior older adults, core program areas, gap, so it does lay all that out, but it may not be user friendly, right? Like I'm not certain without it going through the document.
And as far as what you're saying, as far as who, so not necessarily the audience, but like who develops the programming? Yeah, I think staff actually does the details of the programming. I mean, I'm not in there deciding how these programs work or when some lessons are and stuff. But I do think what the board we want to have a unifying document that says, this is where we're going to invest our time and resources. This is the thing that needs to build up in our community.
Yeah, I mean, again,
I think we can get there.
I think we're close.
The information's all in there. The information is all in here. I was saying there's so much rich information here. What feels like to me is missing is the analysis piece that says, okay, based on all this background, based on the gap analysis, based on what we heard from the community, based on our facilities, what next? Like, what is the thing we need to work on first? And part of the thing that's important is I'm working with Darren on grant writing, and we like, how do we prioritize what we go after grants for?
Well, I think that I don't know, right?
Well, it should be based on a strategic plan. For an organization, it should be based on a strategic plan.
Well, that also depends on what kind of grants are out there available and how you feel you can position yourself to be successful in getting them, right? So it kind of goes back and forth. We always said that, again, the highest priority is getting the SRC in a condition to where you can operate. And the highest and best use study laid out how the programs would fit into the building and how you would do that. Looking in the strategic plan, it talks about categories of program formats, talks about clinics, workshops, classes, gives a description of what those are and some examples of what that could be. So I feel like you're right, Celeste, we're close, it's in there, and it may be just making sure as a group, we go through the document collectively to make sure all those pieces are in there and then configured in a way that you feel is useful. But a lot of that also goes back to what's the intent of the document and who is the intended audience. And I feel like you all as a group may not be aligned on that, right? Like, I never envisioned this, and I never envisioned a master plan, strategic plan, facility plan, comprehensive plan as a public consumable document. They're not necessarily intended for every John and Sally and Sue out there. It's really an internal guide for staff, for, you know, elected officials, director level staff, and it is, you know, a guide for the community. It's a way in which you can respond back to the community, whether it's in praise or, you know, it's in criticism of what you're doing as an organization. But if the group wants this to be more of a user-friendly, community-based level document, that's different. And I think you even, someone had suggested that if that were the case, a lot of the information, a lot of the hard data could be pulled to like an appendix. That's very different, right? Like when I can't remember, Sue, it might have been you mentioning that it.
I agree.
Or the executive summary.
Say that again.
I mean, just put the recommendations in the executive summary, so if the public wants to know, we can just hand them just those few pages. We don't have to hand them the whole document unless we want backup information.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that was in the executive summary, that would, I mean, suit everybody.
We can do that, but again, I don't think the intent was to take pieces of the document so that it can be extracted and given to a different audience. You know, that's a little bit different. We can do that, by all means, but it was never the intent of that, right?
I'm gonna ask you, Brandon, on page 12, this is Sue. On page 12, it says, down at the bottom paragraph, SEPRD manages and maintains a diverse range of facilities, including parks, sports fields, community centers, and an aquatic center. And I want to amend that we manage one field, one park, one field, one community center. I mean, it looks like there's a whole bigger program than there really is in that one sentence. So that's not the first time that's stated. That is twice in this document. And we don't manage that. We run one community, we manage one community center, we manage one park and one sports field. So it needs to be correct. And, you know, I am one that felt like the audience should be, I should be able to hand this to Marty and she would read it. So if you want it to be to the mayor, Steve Wright, I still wouldn't hand this to him. I think he'd give it back with quite a negative opinion. That's my opinion.
So, Brandon, what are you trying to accomplish tonight? What do you want to get out of this meeting?
Well, I want to hear from you guys what you really want to do, right? Like, I'm here. You heard from Skylar that, you know, we had a fee for this. The fee has been exhausted and paid for, and, you know, for months, I've not billed you for anything. So we're still maintaining that commitment. You know, I want to get this thing right so you all are happy, but again, I feel like we need to be aligned a little bit more. And so I want to hear from you what you want to do it and what would be reasonable. I have some suggestions and recommendations, but I'm really here more to kind of listen a little bit.
Well, there's two components for me. One is readability and one is utility. I think the readability is much, much better than it was before, and thank you for that. But it still has some grammatical misadventures in there, and My recommendation would be that you guys get a style manual and use that on the document, because there's many, many inconsistencies with capitalization and, you know, punctuation and abbreviations, and just, that can just be cleaned up with a style manual. But I think.
How many years, just so I can track, you're saying like an APA manual where you write?
It could be an AP manual. I'd recommend Strunk and White, because, you know, E.B. White was a pretty good writer. And although it may be a little archaic, it's still a pretty good style manual. But if you want to use the AP, I don't care which one you use, just use one, and you know, so it improves readability. As just one example, many of the tables don't have titles. There are personal titles like executive director or board member or whatever that are capitalized. And I'm not opposed to bringing capital letters to people's titles, but normally that would be done in most style manuals. And so some of the tables are even unreadable. I mean, I can't even, on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I can't read it. A lot of the stuff is in passive voice rather than active voice. There's a lot of adjectives where adjectives probably don't need to be. And then there's abbreviations that are used once in the beginning of the document, and then you continue to use the full name of the throughout. And I'm saying, once you use the abbreviation and articulate it, then just use that forever for the rest of the document. But all of that can be cleaned up. I'm not worried about that. I'm not picking on the scriveners who put this together. What I'd really like to see is, in the recommendations, I'd like to see that in a matrix and a timeline, so that we have a list of all the recommendations, and then on the timeline, you tell us when we need to start planning for this, when we need to start preparing for funding that, and when we need to do that. We can look at that timeline and see, okay, this is our next 5 years. This is our direction to our executive director. You know, these are your marching orders. And it's still in the recommendations. They're all kind of, they're not prioritized, and they're all kind of in there together. And I think it'd be useful for both the board and the public to have that on one page, one chart. We can show it to employees. We can use that as the star that we're steering by. And if anybody wants additional details, all of the background information can be found in this document.
Okay. I think all that's doable. I don't see anything in it that's not reasonable. I feel like the timelines and the directions are in there.
But they're not prioritized.
I mean, they are prioritized by timeline and the goals.
Right. Give that to us on one page. Just, you know,
okay.
Break it on one line. Say, I don't know, pick something here.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, I can put together an example, just an Excel table, and what I want to do is make it useful. If it doesn't have utility, it's not good for us.
Let me, I just want to make sure I'm tracking you guys real quick one more time. I sent a request to share my screen. I don't know if that's possible.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it is.
Okay. Because Cal, I think what you're suggesting is obviously more than doable. I don't want to say low-hanging fruit, but easily accomplished. And I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding here. And I cautiously share the document, but real quick here, just so I'm right here. Okay.
Yeah. So that's you've got there a timeline, but it goes vertical. Can you put that all on one timeline where the x-axis is the time and the y-axis is the individual recommendations?
you're essentially saying, Kyle, take
We
these
have that?
3 pages as recommendations, right? They are in, the Y coordinate, they are by time, and
Right.
then the exit is by facility. But do it in one document and do it more in a tabular format.
Yes, matrix, yes.
Yeah. And I would propose in sort of the same vein is, I see this list of what are facilities, and most of the programmatic stuff is listed here on page 69 that you're on right now, Brandon.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not, like, it's color coded, so I know that the red is most urgent. So increased access to aquatics programs is a red, for instance, so it's a key issue.
Yeah, here's the table for.
I guess that goes, but I have to figure it out, like, I guess that goes with the next chart.
So, yeah, so these are, we base it on facilities, because that's how you roll out the programming. So like, for example, Sunset Rec Center, the goal is to provide that as a modern rec center. So from 2024 to 2028, over a 4-year period, you're doing all of this work. And so like right now, a lot of this stuff right here is already done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but let me ask, so for instance, like one of the things that I heard in one of them is one of the recommendation is to, I'm gonna pull it right off the previous page on page 69, it says, where was it, technology, it's the technology line item. Develop and support growth of e-learning technology. So it's in the second section, second bullet and second section.
Yep.
So, now, I can guess that that's probably related to having space in the SRC but there's nothing that, I mean, I'm guessing, I don't know, like, how does this relate and how much of a priority? When do we, because we should be going after grants, but that's something we're gonna do in 2026 or 2027, is to have, for instance, the technology center. I'm not even sure what that relates to or where that came from. I assume maybe it's from community feedback or something. That could be so many different things. So I'm not quite sure, like, where that came from, and is that part of the technology, and where would that particular effort fall in the timeline in terms of priority?
Well, we can't do anything in the SRC until we get the full occupancy, right?
I know.
So in the highest and best use study, we identified in the SRC where the technology classroom would go. And so you need to develop programs, you need to implement technology improvements once you have, full use of that space, right?
Well, I agree with that. I think you can presume in a timeline that we're gonna get best, I mean, we know that the timeline has been pushed back, but we can assume that we're gonna get full access. But like, I don't know where the computer lab, let's call it that, fits into this.
Well, that's documented in the highest and best use study for the SRC.
Well, then we should probably be referencing that in this document. Because how would somebody know that if they read that line that we were gonna do e-learning?
Well, again, I would assume, and maybe I'm misthinking this, but if you have the highest and best use study, and we've developed, all of these current improvements to get to the ability to use that building in that way, without putting the highest and best use study document in here, incorporating it, including it as an attendance.
But you could even footnote some of these.
Yeah.
See highest use study for HR. Like, in other words, as a reader, if I'm a reviewer and I don't have that context, I don't know where this e-learning technology idea came from.
We made a conscious decision to not bridge that gap with the highest and best use study, because that programming, that plan was already in the works. That we were doing that work in concurrent with developing this plan. So early on, we made it a decision to not blend the two documents together. If I brought up like the work session that we did early on in like late 23, early 24, we were using the highest and best use map, the recommendations, to develop a lot of this. So if that's a missing link, no problem. Like we can incorporate those back together.
Well, and I don't think it's incorporating the whole thing back in. I don't think it's.
You include the study
It's referring to it, because as a user, if I'm taking up this, if I'm a funder of the SEPRD, if I'm considering whether or not to give the district $500,000 for its next project, I want to see the strategic plan. What are the priorities of the district? What are the main things that they're focused on? Why is this important to the district and the community? And I want to see that reflected in this document. And so I see here e-learning, and it's mentioned once, and it sort of doesn't tell me how big of a priority that is in the scope of things. Like, there's no analysis that tells me where that came from.
It's mentioned in the document, Celeste. It's discussed.
Someplace else in this?
Yeah, it's discussed earlier in the document.
Can I ask a question? So when I look at page 69 and I see the red, of course, my eyes are drawn to the red, increase access to aquatic programs, and the comments are existing indoor facilities are limited by size and age. So when I look at the page 70, I see that we're looking at implement and development a plan for new facility in 2028. But I mean, that's,
So the way,
thing is-
the intent, Sue, was that the action items, the immediate action items for 2024 to 2028 is to do ongoing maintenance, right? Maintain that building, keep it operational. Things like your water intrusion, address that. There's minor improvements to staff areas, like we knew that you guys were moving equipment from there over to the SRC, and that you were doing, office improvement work, if you will. And then the next bullet item is initiate project planning for a new aquatic rec facility. So put the effort in developing the project of building a new aquatic center.
where is that?
Right? Establish project goals, program, entitlement design, due diligence. Like you have to start the project planning part. So you have to look at that facility as its own thing. Understand if you're rebuilding it, understand if you're gonna renovate it, understand if you're gonna knock it down and build it somewhere else. Develop all the programming that aquatic center would facilitate, right? Look at your current programming and then the recommendations in the strategic plan, and make sure that plan to build that new pool all matches up. And then,
So where did-
sort of also relocate exercise and fitness spaces.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you lost me quite a while ago, so.
Well,
Okay,
I mean, intuitively, that's just, okay, I think.
Where did he go?
Okay. So Brandon, intuitively, I think what I heard Celeste say was that it's the programs that drive the structures. And I think I just heard you say that too, Brandon, that you design the programming for your pool or your SRC and then build that around it. But most of the plan is building the buildings and then stuffing the programs inside the buildings that you have, which seems kind of counterintuitive to me.
Cool. So say that again, Kyle, sorry.
I said, well, the plan seems to suggest that we build these buildings and then shove whatever programs we have into the buildings. And I think it's really kind of almost the opposite. We should really be designing the programs and then building the buildings to fit the programs we need. It's like buying a computer. You don't buy a computer and then say, well, what software can I run on this? You figure out what software you need first, and then you buy the computer that runs the software.
Yeah,
Right.
it's both.
So I want to buy the building that's going to run
The
the
aquatic
building.
centers that we're doing now, when we are planning and programming those, it's in tandem with staff and user groups, understanding, because a lot of times the amenities in the facilities are the same, and it's just making sure that the staff knows how to utilize those, and it's flexible in terms of the ability to program. So like an aquatic center, they have a rec pool, right? And that rec pool, based on what staff and the district want to provide in terms of services, could be designed 50 different ways. You could have a lazy river, they could have a kiddie pool area, it could have aquatic play structures where they're squirting and throwing water all over. That gets designed and developed in tandem with a designer, the users, and your programming, right? And so a lot of times what we see is you're operating and programming the facility you have now and doing it incredibly well. I mean, I feel like that was one of the conclusions that SFA made was, you know, your programming and the way you modify your programming, that's all great and it works. What's holding you back is your facility. So it's a little bit of both. And this document can't lay all of that out for you. It has to be a guide and kind of drive you a little bit. And that's why it's written that, you know, initiate project planning, right? You have to develop the plan that coincides with how you want to run programs, what programs you want to run, and making sure that, yes, the facility is designed to accommodate that. So it's a little bit of both, Kyle.
So, Brandon, I can see how it could be both, but to kind of, I do think, like, I see in here, the action items for the Aquatic Recreation Center is to maintain the current facility and then to plan for the new facility.
Correct.
What I would say is between now and then, do we need more senior swimming activities or do we need more early learning swimmer activities? I don't know, there's no I don't see that part of the strategy, the programmatic strategy.
Well, I'd have to go through the document to find that, right? I don't know that.
That's the piece that where do we put between now, we could work on what a new facility, but I don't see rising to the top what the programmatic strategy is.
Let me just check some sides. I feel like some of that was up front in the early document.
And so I think you might be right. That's what I mean when I say there's some really rich stuff in here, but what it doesn't make its way into is like a final.
But I think that's what I'm trying to point out. This will never be final.
No, not final like you're talking about. I mean a final let me say this, when we bought the SRC, we boiled it down to 4 main things that we needed to do. We needed more, and I can still remember it because they were so clear, is that we needed more indoor recreation space, we needed more youth programming, early child, we needed more senior programming, and then we wanted to support sports tourism. Those were the 4 priorities that rose to the top. I can't pull from this document what our 4 priorities to concentrate on are.
And I have a follow-up to my question about the red. I mean, I'm looking at through the executive summary, and, you know, the red areas tell me that this is, you know, something we should do right away, and of course, we're talking about in 2028, but in the document, it points to there's a problem. I look to the executive summary, and I don't see, unless it's buried in some words that I just didn't see, any reference to a new pool. I mean, and it seems like if this area is red, then that's what this document is saying, is proving we need to be acting on the red areas, which mean, I mean, that's just why it doesn't make sense to me. The red area says, okay, we need a new pool. Yes, we're looking in the future, 2028, but we need to get between today and 2028 with activities for all ages of people. And just as Celeste pulled out of her hat, you know, those 4 goals that I had slightly forgotten, but it's like it's not in the executive summary. So that's just one of the disconnects I have with this document. And I don't know what else to say. I'm going to be quiet.
So Brandon, what are, or the board, we've been at this for half an hour now. What's the next step?
I mean, if you want me to cut to the chase, I mean, my recommendation is we need one collective voice from the board. And I felt like how you were getting nominated for that with the work you already kind of played. I'm sorry. But I feel like if we need one person that represents a common voice from the board, I'd like to get all the comments, concerns together. We did get a slew of comments. It was hard to track who were the comments coming from and what the true direction. So, you know, we took it on ourselves to implement as much as we could. There were things that we couldn't really track. There's things that didn't quite make sense and maybe contradicted each other. So we took our best stab. So I'm glad to hear the readability is better and there's improvement. But I feel like what we need to do, Kyle, is get all the comments and concerns together, get a list of like the top 5 priority things that the document really needs to do, get an understanding of who the intended audience is. Is it you as a district and staff, or is it actually a community, document for the community? And then bring all those comments together. If it's you, Kyle, you, myself, Tim Gordon, who did a lot of work on this, I think, anybody from staff that wants to be involved, and we do a work session. We lock ourselves in a room for half a day, I'll provide lunch, I'll provide breakfast, and we work through it until we get a consensus on what the actual changes are in the document, because we're spending a lot of time going around, right? We spent a whole month to get to this meeting. So I just want to make sure that we move quick and we get a comprehensive voice, and we get a work session together. Now, I will tell you, I don't have support from SFA to revamp and rewrite the document. They've lost Susie and Caitlin. There's one individual, a gentleman by the name of Dante, that was on it. But we've lost a little bit of historic knowledge on SFA. So I feel that the burden to get this across the line is going to be on us. And I'm going to continue to try to get SFA to engage and give us support. But I just want you all to know that. And I don't intend on bailing. I want to get this right. So how does that sound as a
what's the board's
proposition?
consensus? Are we good with the work session?
If a work session is necessary, and it may be, I'm in favor of it. I think Brandon's brought a lot of good things to our attention. I do think that, the idea of the strategic plan and master plan have been used interchangeably. It's confusing. The cover of this draft still says master plan. It should say strategic plan. That's what we contracted for. I don't have a lot of confidence in SFA at this point. I do think there have been some improvements. I think it could be streamlined a little bit better. I do not think this document I don't think it's prioritized as a public document, but it is a public document and it needs to stand the light of day. It is a guide for staff and a reference for the board. Our programs need to fit into the buildings we have now, but our buildings need improvements, to be sure. Anyway, it's frustrating for this to be kind of dragged out. It's kind of, I'm losing a little bit of enthusiasm for it, with, my own capacity. So, if we need to, if we need a new contract with Klosh to work with us in the future, maybe that's something the board needs to think about.
Catherine?
I agree with all that. I think a work session, just hash it out.
Skylar, what are some options for when we have a work session? Can we do that in November? November's a tough month for most people. We're not having board meetings in December. Maybe we can pull that off, or do you want to wait till after the first of the year?
I would recommend and encourage movement on this before the end of the year, if we can. Yeah, November is tough. We lose one Tuesday to Veterans Day holiday, and then our Thursday, or our regular board meeting is scheduled for the week of Thanksgiving, and it's looking like it's going to be really full with some training that is going to be explained in our agenda. So maybe one of those in the first week or two of December would work. I guess we're using the term work session, but what Brandon described, I think, doesn't necessarily have to be a work session for the whole board. If I heard you correctly, Brandon, it could just be yourself and maybe a designee from the board, perhaps Kyle, and maybe a staff or two that want to be involved. And that doesn't have to be it's not a not public meeting, but it doesn't have to be a public meeting in the way that this is a public meeting with full engagement. It could be like a work group that is, has some, power, as it's designated by the board to, whether it's Kyle or somebody else, to get together and move the work forward. So it doesn't have to be.
Designated Kyle,
So,
time.
Yeah.
so I suggest that there be at least two boards, well, there'd be a maximum of two board members,
Sure.
but there'd be another person.
And I think.
Because this isn't Kyle's strategic plan,
Yeah,
this
and
is the district's.
You could do that with two, you just can't have more than two
Right,
in that,
right.
session. And as long as you don't, adopt the document or direct staff on some other account, then you can have that meeting or that work session, or some other title, however we wanna brand it. And then maybe give Brandon a little bit of time after that to make those changes and maybe bring something back in a couple weeks after that, is sort of what I'm thinking.
So that's the January meeting.
Yeah, I'm sensing urgency on Brandon's part too, to work on this and land the plane also, so.
Yeah, it's gone on too long, and I think, anytime you have these kind of timelines, you lose the historic knowledge, and, you forget decisions, and not everything is fully documented, it can't be, so I do feel like I was hearing a little bit of that, so yeah, the urgency is getting you guys in a good place, landing the plane, so.
Can I ask, one of the things that I thought, we have the executive summary at the beginning, and we have 116 pages, and then it stops. And I felt like there should be a conclusion in words doesn't exist. And I would like to please ask for that.
Brandon, could we
I
look
think
at,
I think all of these comments are excellent too. I mean, there's merit to everything that is said and was, said on the last month's meeting. We just need to get it all kind of funneled through one or two people that are willing to kind of make the decision and say, yes, we're doing this, and no, we're not doing that, so that we just all get on the same page and just get it done.
So is there any other board member that wishes to participate other than Celeste?
I don't need one.
And then I see your grimace on that, and I promise to help make it go faster and not slower. But I would like to be involved, partly because I've been having these conversations with Sarah and staff, and have some, as we've talked about it, I really do think there's an opportunity for the district to be raising some funds for these projects, which are overextending us to the extent that I don't think any of the board was sort of planning for originally, and I think we can do some good resource development, some both fundraising and grant writing for some of these things, and I think it has to go hand in glove with the strategic plan. I just think it's really important that they are,
the big action items in the plan, they are big action items, right?
Yeah.
A new pool.
Yeah, to some extent, as Darren and I were even talking, it's like, even the SRC, and you guys have done this, there are phases to it, right? We have the occupancy phase, we have, there's a design phase that's gonna go on, there's all these different phases, and I think we can go after funding for all of these, but I want to see them clearly illuminated in a strategic plan, so that we can make a case to folks to support us, whether that's somebody giving us $25 for a brick, for the verdant, or however you say that word, the center space, or whether it's somebody giving us $500,000 for a new court. I want to be able to see it in the strategic plan. Again, not the detailed how we're going to do it kind of instruction, but I want to see that it's listed as a priority.
So
I want to be able to find it as a priority.
I have a dumb question. So what is a master plan? What is a strategic plan?
A master plan is often called a facilities plan,
For construction.
or.
Strategic plan is the guiding of the ship.
Yeah, I would argue they can at times mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And at times they can be very strategic, right? And I think Celeste was pretty eloquent in stating the difference. Things like programming, things like revenue generator, things like financing structures, things like that, a little bit broader.
Missional. I mean, I can say for my organization, we have in our strategic plan, again, very concise, so it's easy for us to remember. But it's things like, in my strategic plan, we have reach more youth, reach young people at a younger age, to deepen the bench of our leadership team. Like, those are in our strategic plan for my organization, and so, and I recognize this is facilities heavy, and I think we probably will be facilities heavy, even in a strategic plan. But I think, what I need to see is some more of the, to me, I want to see more of the programming case there. Like, missionally, what are we trying to do in the community?
So do you have some potential dates?
Yeah, I do. I guess, I think if we're looking at early December and we're looking at maybe a half-day-ish workshop, I would love to do it earlier in the month, and I think maybe it's December 2nd, is a Tuesday.
I got it down.
Okay, December 4th maybe is a Thursday. We could do, you know, kind of chunk aside
That's
a
perfect.
half day, either
Fine.
morning or afternoon. I don't know what your schedule is, Brandon, but you're pretty imperative that you're available, so we may work
The
around.
only day of the week that I'm gonna struggle with is Thursdays. I have a significant project that has 2 standing meetings, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. I can make any other day work. I will move my schedule around to make any other day work, but Thursdays are hard.
How
And I'm
about,
assuming that I would come down to Seaside, we would do it in person,
I think
lock
that's,
ourselves in a room. We could
Yeah.
do it virtually, but I feel like some high-fiving and some hugging is probably in order.
Now, you're talking about not we three?
Correct.
yeah,
Kyle and
I think, what would happen prior to that point is that all of this feedback, you know, the questions would get synthesized again. We did this once before, and it was really good and informative and helped, I think, really improve the draft. But we need to do it again, and I'll do a lot of that legwork so that Kyle and Celeste don't have to, and we'll kind of have a plan, and we'll share it with Brandon. Maybe we'll work through the document together and get you all that you need. Could we look at, how would Friday the 5th work for at least the
Both
three?
Fridays.
Okay.
Friday in Seaside, you kidding? Yeah, heck yeah.
Well, why don't we chunk, like, you know, maybe 8 to noon or something like that Friday, if that works, or 9 to 1 or something. I don't know if we have early risers here on the board. So let's do 9 to 1.
I will
Brandon.
cater.
Sounds good. I appreciate that.
Mike's gonna
I will
cater.
cater, you just let me know how many people.
Oh, all right.
I will do whatever you want with brunch
So that's 12,
or
5,
lunch.
9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and Skylar, a suggestion, what if I set up like a Blue Beam session? I don't know if you're familiar with this, but I can upload the strategic plan, I can upload a few other documents, like some of the previous notes, and then what I would do is share that out to you, to Kyle, and to Celeste, and we could all work in that shared session. Like, you guys could go in and write notes, highlight,
Okay.
and it would just kind of, it would streamline collecting all the information and making sure it's a comprehensive voice, and then give us really clear marching orders. And we can work through that, like, you guys could add weekly comments, and I can go in and respond and provide feedback as we move, so that Friday the 5th is like really, really efficient. We kind of already know what we're doing by the time we get there.
I love it. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the technology, but I think we'll be able to figure it out, and that sounds perfect.
Not
Yeah.
that in school,
Yeah.
where you could amend sentences.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at it.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I have something to say. I feel like the heavy lifting here is coming, and I feel really guilty that I'm not part of that.
Do you want to be part of it?
Yeah.
You can take
I
that.
Well, I
can
can't
get
be
you
if
some
you
file
do it.
access to, we can get you writing, you know,
You could give me what?
you give you access to some of the software,
Give me on the
you do some
computer.
creative writing.
And if I could propose, Sue, you're so good at catching the things, like, once people have been in it, you're really good at catching things after there's a draft to respond to, and catching things that aren't clear, or missing, you know, even if it's grammatical missing. I mean, I would propose that might be a nice place to have another set of eyes, is once we come out of it with a deliverable, like with whatever the piece is, and have one more review.
So you talking like on the 5th at 1:30?
No, just,
1 minute.
he'll update the document, and then we need some eyes to review it.
Okay. because I have a concert. You're all invited to the concert at Cannon Beach Forest on the 5th.
Brandon, we're gonna land this plane at the January meeting, so we need to figure out how we're gonna make that happen between now and then.
And Brandon, if you want to come to the concert, I'll give you a ticket.
I'll come down, I'll make it.
It's at 7 o'clock.
One other suggestion or idea, would it be beneficial for, not the whole group, because again, I don't want to get into a public meeting realm, but would it be beneficial, say Kyle, Celeste, you two sit with Skylar and I, and the four of us just go through the document, like, lay out, just, here's this content, this is the intent of this content, just so as and we can do that sooner than later,
Yeah.
so that as you're collecting feedback and we're marking up a PDF, getting to that December 5th, you guys have a better understanding of what we were thinking in terms of the intent, and then you guys can have that dialogue as comments are coming in. Is there any merit to that?
I would be interested in hearing that, and I also want to make sure I have the most recent, I've been following drafts as I go along, including the significant improvements I've made with the redrafting of the outline. I followed that piece, but I'm not even sure that I have the most current draft. So I would appreciate that, Brandon, like just
The outline got redone?
No, it didn't. The one that we're all working off of, Brandon, is the one that has the red label on the front that says draft 9/12/25.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the right one, okay.
All right, so
Yeah,
the board,
that is what I have, okay.
There were some supplemental pages left in that document, because when Tim distributed it, there was, the outline that was reworked. There was some confusion in there. We were trying to communicate, hey, where that confusion hit, and if we had missed anything. So some of those extra pages in the back, I believe that was fully the intent. But if we could get together early November and run you through that, then that gives you, a good month to continue the dialogue, collect the content, and again, be very efficient when we get together on the 5th.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you that I started, when I couldn't read it from the front to back, I went to back to front. And the first thing I ran into was chapter 3, 5.1. Those don't match with what you've got in the back.
get that information to me or Celeste, and we'll
But it's like,
we'll get
that's the
all of
outline.
those details ironed out.
Yeah, try to be, forgive me for saying this, but, try to be as specific as you can. Like, there was a comment that said some of the text looked like it had, been left off the page. Like, I want to know what page and what paragraph, so we can go in and find it. It's a thick document, there's a lot in there, so try to be with your comments specific as possible, if that makes sense. So.
Okay, if the board can get their information to me, or Celeste and me, copy both of us when you send that stuff. Brandon, I will try to arrange a time, maybe we can get together. I'm gonna be in Portland next week, maybe I can sit down and go through with the stuff we have, so you
We
can
have to
make.
be careful, that doesn't look like an internet meeting.
A serial meeting, yeah. Well, is it?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is, because I'm not responding to the individual board members.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle, maybe you and I can coordinate too, because if I can't go to Portland, but maybe I can.
I'm just saying I was gonna be there, and I don't.
To walk through the document, we can do it virtual, that's easy.
Okay.
Next week, I'm traveling, Kyle, I'm traveling Tuesday evening, back to Portland Friday evening.
Or the following week.
I know you, but,
yeah.
yeah, the following week would be better.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, November, that week of the 10th. Fridays are good. I'm gonna say this on a public meeting, so I'm probably gonna regret it, but Fridays I try to keep a little light for emergency situations and kind of, impromptu meetings, so if you want to find your way up to Portland on Friday the 14th, I'm fully available that day. Wednesday the 12th in the afternoon is very open. I can do almost any time on Tuesday the 11th. And if you can't make it to Portland, no problem, we do a lot of damage virtually.
And then Celeste, anyone?
I think I can make any of those days work.
Okay.
And Friday also is a good day for me, I would say, the 14th.
Okay, we'll
Make sure you
work,
pay your
we'll
property
work
tax.
through Skylar and set something up, either remote or, you know, in Portland.
Yeah, I can move times around with the exception of Thursday, so keep that in mind. If those afternoons and Friday doesn't work, and we gotta do a Monday morning or a, Wednesday morning, I can adjust, and I will do that, so.
Okay, board.
For the big appreciation for coming back to us and circling back and continuing to work through this with us.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll tell you, so, Sid told me, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was the first time he dragged me over to the SRC, he was like, I wanna introduce you to this project and client, and he's like, it's a career-long client, is what he said, in the record. There's a lot of work to be done, and I always kind of go, yeah, whatever. But I'm really happy he did that, and next time he tells me lifelong client, I will believe him and put a lot of merit behind it. So, again, that's why, we're committed, and I fully believe if Susie and Caitlin were still at SFA, we would have some support. It's the fact that they're not there. So we're there, Celeste, I got thick skin, we all got thick skin, we've been doing this for a long time, so we just want to make it right, we want to get it right, so.
Thanks for that, Brandon.
That's
Yeah, of course.
Okay, anything else?
Do you need any update on the occupancy change at SRC?
Yeah, can you hang on for just a second, Brandon? I think we can be fairly concise with this next item, but I have it next on the agenda.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show just a couple of pictures, so, if the board hasn't been in, SRC, they can see kind of, the two projects that were completed. Oh man, what is my finger doing? There we go.
Hey, Skylar,
Yes, Sue,
do you have a clean copy
of the master plan?
or whatever?
I can print one, yeah.
Because mine is so, I've got so many comments on it. If I'm gonna try to organize and send Kyle or Celeste a comment, I'd like to start off with a fresh copy.
I can print you one, Sue, no big deal.
Thank you.
I think we kind of want some of those comments, so if I can
I want
say
him as
myself,
rough
so
as you.
I wouldn't, get rid of.
Oh, I'm not
Oh,
getting
that
rid of
work
them.
that
I'm
you-
trying, I'm not sending you, Kyle, I'm not sending you
Hey,
this.
Sue.
No, but see this? I'm
See
not
this?
sending you that.
I can read it,
Or
it's
this?
okay, I can read it. Look
I mean, I
Look
do
at how I
think
do it.
I do think we should switch, since you're president, that should change. But see, I
do
mean,
the same thing.
I've got pages of stuff.
I can read it, it's okay, just give me what you got, or make a copy of it. and
Okay,
I
Give
mean,
it to Skylar.
this one I just wrote, what?
I just crossed out entire paragraph.
Yeah.
They didn't add anything to this.
There's some pages where I did that, I just went, get rid of this page. Sorry.
As long as you use like standard editing marks or whatever, then I can.
I don't know if I use standard editing marks.
okay, team, back on track here.
Hey, Brandon, welcome, thanks for joining us today.
You know what, Kyle, you know what I've been thinking, just in the last, 20, 30 minutes? I am so glad I met you and recruited you.
I'm not.
I am.
Look at what you dragged me.
I know how good you are, and I was right from the very first impression. So grateful for you.
Okay,
SRC,
yeah,
we're done with the,
And the exit
draft
signs.
plan.
yeah, so the exit signs have all been installed. We, had, Inland Electric help us with installing these 7 exit signs are, a couple of them just needed, to be, flipped around, so they pointed a different direction. But that work's been completed, it got, finished up on Friday. Appreciate Inland Electric and the work they do.
Are those inspected already?
They are, Kyle, you're jumping ahead, but here's
Okay.
one of the doors, completed door I shared. I think we were just about done or almost done last meeting, but,
Yeah.
pleased with the progress that we made on that. Brandon and I have both had a few conversations today with the building department, and I'm pleased to share that we had not the building official, but Mr. Bob Mitchell. Brandon was the one who performed the inspection today.
That's funny, that's
Which
good to know.
Which
That's
is funny,
great.
because he was the original building official back when we purchased the SRC, and he's since retired, but he's still contracting with the city for some inspections. So he signed off on the exit signs and the doors, and what's going to happen now, and Brandon can jump in and provide a little more insight. We're kind of having still a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a negotiation, but we're still kind of trying to figure out where we're going to land on the mechanical plant. That was the other piece of, the other hurdle that we needed to jump over in some way to satisfy what the city's asking us to do. Now, the city, like I said, Brandon had a long conversation with the building official last night. I had a long conversation with the building official today. Both were productive. They really want to help us and move forward and work with us. I think the next step, sounds like Brandon's going to be spending a lot of time with the district or maybe down here, but we're going to meet together with the building official. He's waiting to try to get some clarity from the state on the mechanical plan and the improvements that we'll need to make. So good news is that we got those two pieces of the work needed completed. Not bad news, but just wait and see news is what is going to be needed to get the mechanical plan signed off on, and that would be the last step to get the temporary certificate of occupancy. Brandon, step in, correct me.
Yeah, you did great. Scotty's been a great pupil with all of this occupancy change and life safety stuff, so you hit the nail on the head. I would echo the same thing. I talked to the building official for about an hour and a half last night, and would echo the same thing. You know, again, a commitment from the city to work with the district to make sure that that facility is safe and sound. There's a little bit of red tape, maybe semantics, and I think that's creating a little bit of the confusion. So we have an outstanding permit right now that you're doing work in, but it doesn't have any kind of ties to mechanical. And so, I want to make sure that the city, the district, us as the design group are all on the same page with next steps to the mechanical permit. The mechanical work has a lot of dollars tied to it, and it has a lot of effort, just in general tied to it. And so this meeting that is forthcoming, we would be doing it the first week of November, but there's some schedule conflicts. So that same week of the November 10th, it's going to be a big week. We're hoping that the state building official will join and share some insight. I'm not going to hold my breath because it doesn't really, it's not his decision, but he can advise and speak to it. But we want to get the city, potentially state building official, and ourselves in the room so that we can make a comprehensive plan on what to do with the mechanical system. There's a little bit of work up front that the district would have to do so that we as the design group would really understand how the existing system is performing. And I mean like the actual equipment, right? If there's a fan, is the fan working? Is it operating? Is it still operating to its full capacity? Because the building has multiple ages, right? It has multiple additions to it. It has multiple zones for mechanical system. It's a big analysis, and that's a big lift. That's a lot of dollars that the district has to spend. In addition to the fee proposal you guys saw months ago to actually do the construction documents to implement the improvements on the mechanical system. What the city has proposed is they give us a TCO, temporary certificate of occupancy, while we work through the mechanical systems. And they don't feel confident at this point that they could give the full certificate of occupancy and not address the ventilation. Where it's interesting is the building official and I are talking back and forth on whether or not we agree that you're required to do that. I'm insinuating that the risk, the life safety provisions in the building, the risk has gone down, life safety provisions have gone up. The deficiencies in the mechanical system aren't a life safety system. So I feel that we should all be able to operate in the building, and you should start leaning towards that full certificate of occupancy, but it's an ask. And so this meeting will make sure that we're all in agreement, we've got timelines, agreed to, and that path forward is agreed to. I do feel they're gonna push you to address that mechanical system, which means you still are gonna be pushed to do the big financial lift. But I'm hoping we can help drive a little bit of the timelines and just, you know, again, drive the expectations from the district standpoint, if that makes sense. But again, the city's committed, and they're very happy with the work that everybody has done. And to get to today, to get a sign off on those last final life safety measures is a big step. So I think that should be a big success, and if I was there, I'd run around and give you guys a bunch of high fives, because that has taken a lot of effort to get to today, so. It's good news.
Your fives.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm glad, guys, yeah, we're so close, so. And kind of funny that Bob Mitchell was back doing the inspection. That was not mentioned last night, so I kind of laughed at that one.
Yeah, I had a chuckle also.
I'll just note
Yeah, sorry, kicked off
that the life safety code requires the exit signs to be placed in the first spot occluded by smoke. One of the vagaries of the fire code.
Yeah, and you know, Kyle, it was, those fires, those exit signs were part of the agreement with, Genesi, the fire marshal, and saying, you know, there's long corridors, there's some obstruction in those corridors, so, you know, it's a little bit beyond the code minimum, but again, it's just ensuring that there's safety provisions in the building throughout, so.
Right.
They're there now, which is huge.
It's just one of the vagaries of the fire code that the exit signs be placed on the ceiling where it's occluded by smoke first, especially inside a door. You know, it just never made sense to me. So thank you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Unless you have something else, we're gonna move on.
I think that's it.
Okay,
Thanks, Brandon.
More to come. Yep. Good seeing you all. We'll talk to you soon.
Skylar Tree?
First, just a quick update on SDC. So I sent this to Kyle and Celeste. Essentially, what was presented in our September meeting is still accurate. The other option of having a SDC be calculated on square footage could still be an option for the board. But our contractors or our consultants have informed us that that's not part of their original scope.
Outside the scope.
So what I need the board to decide or deliberate on, I guess, and decide at some point is if they want to move forward with one of the proposals that have already been calculated, which were an SDC based on the dwelling unit and either a phased-in approach or a percentage-based approach of adopting that, or if they want to ask the consultants with Bowman Group to help us work through a square footage-based calculation, and authorize staff to move forward with amending or, adjusting the contract to provide for that time and scope of work for them to do for us. And then they would bring that information back to us, or back to me, and I would share it with the board, and we would be able to consider that along with the other options that we've already discussed.
Is there an estimated additional cost?
No, sorry, I don't have an additional cost. I don't think it would be, I think it would probably be in the, I'm saying like 3,000 to 5,000 maybe range. I don't know, offhand, Mike, I didn't ask them that question, I apologize. I wish I would have at this moment, but I don't have that information. I would say the folks at Bowman Group have been pretty generous when we bid out the project and when we talked to some other experts. Their bid was competitive. I feel like we're getting good value from their service, but I don't have a number for that extra work.
Anyway, I think it might provide, some good equity in the community to look at that. What do you think, Celeste? Or maybe Kyle should ask Celeste.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that analysis. The only question that's coming up is whether or not providing guidance to do it in this manner is in their wheelhouse. I would trust them. I think you're right. I think they've given us very good value, and I think they've done a great job, and I appreciated the presentations that I've had from them. I don't know if this is in their wheelhouse to do it in this way. I'm not, I looked at the reports that the state of Oregon did, so I don't know who did that. Anyway, but I would trust them.
Doug did share that they have done square footage-based analysis for some other local governments. So I think they're familiar with
Great.
that. Yeah.
Well, and I keep, because I still don't understand what I missed in July. And so this study that I keep going back to and trying to read, it's got, on page 6, it's got a table that's done in square feet. And so, whoever wrote this, which I presume is them, they've done it before,
Yeah, they have.
but
It's doable.
I'm still confused.
I move that we additionally contract the Bowman Group to calculate the square footage fee schedule for the STCs.
Yeah, I'll second that with a friendly amendment that I would like to make sure that in that additional contract, they take into consideration the demographics of our community.
Okay. Sometimes in the past, when we've amended a contract that the board has already approved, the board can set an up-to limit that they're comfortable with the staff proceeding up to this point. So I don't know if you want to consider that. I really don't have a great projection.
You want to put a price
Cost
cap,
would be.
you want to put a price cap on your motion?
A price cap? I don't know. I don't know if
What
there is a
was
price
the
cap.
original, Skylar?
I want to say it was around 25 to 30, but I don't remember either, sorry.
But this, they have all the data, they just need to recalculate.
You just need to,
Right.
yes, yeah.
So,
there's a motion and a second,
okay,
and we're gonna do a roll call vote. Is there any more discussion?
it'd be great if we could review this in November, if it would be done by then. Do you think it could be done in that time?
I got the sense that they were comfortable moving forward quickly, but yeah, I'll get on it with them as soon as I can.
Now, process question, so she asked for a friendly amendment. Then does the mover have to approve the friendly amendment?
I don't think,
Do we just
Oh, you don't
restate it?
Or just restate the
I
motion?
think it just needs to be restated when you do the roll call
We
vote.
haven't voted.
Okay. And the motion is, restate your motion, Mike.
That we contract the Bowman Group to recalculate the STC, on a square footage basis. And, Celeste added, considering the demographics of the community.
Okay, and your second still stands, Celeste? So, Catherine,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
I'm gonna vote no. Celeste,
Aye.
motion carries.
4 to 1, okay, thank you.
Any more comments or thoughts on the SDC process before we move on?
Wait, did we not give you a dollar amount on that motion? Are we supposed to?
It's up to you.
Okay.
I will be really conscientious of the district resources, and if it's an amount that seems unreasonable or higher than maybe what we've talked about in that ballpark, I will maybe delay that decision and come back to the board.
Okay,
That's reasonable too.
yeah, thanks for that.
Problem.
I'll be in the pool.
Okay,
We'll float you the bed.
just the last item under old business, we've been reminding ourselves, and you've been really diligent about this as a board, to remember to remind me to work on getting this Government Ethics Commission training completed, and pleased that SDAO has gotten their training that they developed approved by the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, and they're now coming out to remote board meetings throughout the state and helping provide that training to the elected body. So I've worked with SEAO staff, and they and I have settled on one of their consultants, Mark Knudsen. I don't think he's any relation to the other Knudsens that are here. Be here for that training, and I thought it would be in the best use of y'all's time and our time to just have that at our November meeting. So maybe what I'm proposing is that we start that training at 4 o'clock, a little earlier, or if you want to start it at 5:15, that's totally fine. Mark has informed me that the training takes about 2 hours, and there's usually a fair amount of questions. So he said to allot for 2.5 hours for that training, and then at the conclusion of that training, we would proceed to our regular board meeting business.
Can I go let my dog out in between?
Absolutely. We can recess for any period of time. We can have, we can do some abbreviated things with the meeting. Maybe we shift staff presentation, or we don't do some of the other stuff that can take some of our time. But the message that I've gotten back from the board is that this was really important, and it seemed like a good way to do it, and the consultant was available to come out here and do the training.
I will be there.
I will be there. We're gonna defeat people if we keep them from
We can do that too.
4
Yeah.
to 8.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not opposed to, chipping in for whatever my cost of meals is. It's not about the money. We just need to feed
People need food, for sure.
I just need to be able
The dog
to
needs
let
food.
my dog out.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't expect it's 4 to 8, I think it's 4 to 9, 4 to 10.
Well,
Because you said November was a heavy month, and now we're adding 2.5 hours.
I'm optimistic, but
I just keep, my dog can't go that long.
Okay, we'll make time for Sue to let her dog do its
Sure.
constitutional.
I don't live too far away.
And what is the date again? I just want to double check my calendar.
The board date.
it's November 25th.
Yeah, the 25th.
25th, okay, so I just want to make sure, okay, that's why I have that down.
Tuesday
Okay.
before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And you said 4 o'clock start time?
That's what I'm proposing, just,
That's fine,
I think,
I just want to, I'm updating my calendar, just to make sure.
Catherine
I got it.
can't really probably get here before
I
4
will
maybe.
just hold up and really.
I appreciate the flexibility, and again, this will help us get that done for the 5 of you, and you'll be in full compliance, and it will probably be easier than having to go to a training and
Was it
sail over
here,
somewhere else.
the SEO meeting here in February?
The conference is here, yeah.
Will they do the training at the
They
conference?
haven't shared that, but
Don't we
the,
have to do this before January?
that was, the original statute was that you had to do it,
Okay.
however,
We'll follow
I think
the
there's a
session.
benefit of having it localized to this group, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet with Mark, I think actually tomorrow. But, it'll give you a more intimate setting to work through questions and issues. If you've never had a government ethics training before, then there's often a lot of, well, what about this, and how about this situation, and, in a more intimate setting, it might help.
It's good training.
Yeah.
Okay, are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished with old business at least.
Women's locker room flooring.
Purchase a scrubber or resurface the floor? Or add finish?
So, I'll start. My concern, Marty contacted me after the last meeting, again, espousing her concerns about the slipperiness of the floor. And that was part of her concern. I think, another part was, we didn't seem to be taking it seriously. And, if this is a hazard, a slip hazard that we have, that we've been notified of, that I think we
Well, I
ought
would
to
tell
do
you,
something.
that's not quite true, because she's talked to me over the years, and I've gone to Justin, because even I had tripped. And so every time I had dealt with that, and so she brought it forward, and often it didn't get as much, attention as it has right now. But as soon as she brought it forward again, if you recall my board comment, I was surprised, because I'm not tripping anymore. And I am trying to actually trip. you know, and I've been very grateful. And one, you know, so long and short of it, I don't really want to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go long in my comment, but, Justin paid attention. We tried different actions, and we tried different colors of things, different signs. So this was never ignored. It was just, the satisfaction wasn't present that she felt we were doing.
Yeah, well, for whatever reason, it's a slip hazard, so,
Yeah.
is it true that it's a slip hazard?
Women's locker
Yeah,
in the pool. So,
yeah, it's always a slip hazard.
It's a slip hazard for women.
Well-
It's interesting that the staff study that there have been no reports of slipping in the men's locker room.
Yeah.
Do they have the same flooring?
They don't have the exact same flooring, but they have very similar flooring.
So there's this difference in behavior or bathing. Is it lotions, is it shampoo, or, maybe I just don't understand. Why, do we need to go back to concrete floor and just basic floor?
I will tell you one thing that caught me by surprise, because I went to Marty and said I wanted to thank her for bringing this complaint back to us. And she said, she mentioned bare feet. And I said, I'm never barefoot in that locker room. But there's lotion, I don't know about the lotion, there's always suds that I see that, you know, that I don't step on.
But it could be conditioner or shampoo.
Yeah, I mean,
or
people
whatever.
are using, I see them full.
Hair products.
Can I make an observation as well, as a parent who has spent a lot of time in that locker room with children? Our society, generally, the kids go with the moms in the locker room. Kids, make a mess. So a lot of the time, the things that are on the floor, you know, I had to yell at one child not very long ago that wasn't mine, because they were having a shampoo war. I was like, no, thank you, let's not do that. So the difference between the men's locker room and the women's locker room very could well be the amount of children that are in the women's locker room, causing part of this problem, and the times that maybe Marty is in there are not necessarily the times that the children are in there, but the children have already had an impact. So potentially, I mean, is scrubbing the answer to get the stuff off the floor?
So what I would say, and I think that's an important consideration. In that space, the scrubbing only lasts a few minutes. The impact of the scrubbing, and really what creates the slippery floor, it is the products, but it's most importantly the moisture that's on the floor in that space. So for the initial users that get in there at 5:45, it's not slippery really at all. But very quickly it becomes more slippery, and it's only exacerbated by the shampoo, the conditioner, the hair products, lotion, whatever it might be. So a midday cleaning probably would improve it marginally, but unless we're allowing the interior, the floor of the locker room to dry completely, it will still be really slippery.
Have we tried fans?
We did have a fan in there at one point, but because it's such a wet environment, there was concerns, probably rightfully so, from patrons about, the safety of fans. We do have ventilation system in there, and we kind of assessed that, and it seems like it's in working repair. It's just a very humid environment.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had professional experience with treating floors, mostly tile floors, to reduce slip falls. Like in restaurants, I've done wineries, but it's mostly been tile. And basically what it was, to reduce the slipping, you had to deep clean, super clean the floors and remove all the oils. And what we did was, and I don't know if it's gonna work on epoxy or not, probably not, but we used a hydrofluoric acid.
Yikes.
And then we did extraction cleaning after that, and that reduced slipperiness.
So that
To
just
a great
roughed
degree,
up
but-
the surface?
Excuse me?
You roughed up the surface of the...
Well, but the microscopically.
Yeah,
The hydrofluoric, it interfered with the
It eats
where the water
everything.
would sheet off.
But that was on tile.
It worked on quarry tile and
Quarry.
mostly, which was typical of, the wineries and the restaurants that I did.
So is that okay on this epoxy?
There's a period, but I don't think it would work on epoxy unless
Well,
the
we tried-
epoxy manufacturer knows something that would work on it. But basically epoxy is designed to be impervious,
Right.
so,
So,
Plastic.
Skylar, I'm sorry.
that's all right.
I've seen like these interlocking plastic tile floors that people put out of the
Oh, we
slippery.
did that.
Is that
The problem was, it was raised just enough that people would catch on it.
trip on it?
Yes,
So
and so then they
we
got-
traded a slip hazard for a
For
trip
trip
hazard.
hazard.
And I-
Great.
Yeah. So this is by no means my area of expertise, and Skylar, I do trust your team to have done this, but I just happened on this trip to have stopped at a place called Glenwood Hot Springs, which I think probably has north of, 250,000 visitors a year, and lots of locker rooms and lots of slippery services, and they have these vinyl mesh mats, like runners, that ran along and everything for anti-slip pieces. So I don't know what other products your team has looked at, but I was paying attention to it with this conversation in mind as to what they did for their tools, so
Plus, were
I don't
those
know.
raised? Were they raised? Because we've done.
So they had no, they were not, so the edge was tapered to be almost to zero level with it, so it's a runner. And I found them on the internet, I actually looked it up, because I was like, oh, this is how they're doing it, so I was curious about it. So it's like a runner, and it's like, so the runner itself is like a web of vinyl, that drains. It's like like this, like lots of, like this.
Kind of like the
And
blue
then-
mat, the blue mat on the beach?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, kind of like the blue mat at the beach, and then the edges taper down to nothing. So they taper down, they have a tapered edge. So while it might be a quarter of an inch thick on the runner, the edges go down to nothing, to be
So-
flat with this.
We
And they
did,
were heavy, I could tell they were heavy, because you couldn't move, like they were not movable mats. So anyways, I just don't know how much we've looked at other products, that are available. Again, this is not my wheelhouse at all, but I was noticing what another facility did. And I don't know if this is a topic that other facilities have dealt with, so anyways.
could it be as simple as putting those like shower slip rubber ducky things down on the floor,
With
where you have.
suction cups
Yeah.
on the bottom?
Well, not the suction, but the decals.
Oh, yeah.
They have the rough edge.
Like you have
You
like
know
a
what?
bathtub?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
okay.
I'm trying to find,
A
Memory.
smooth bathtub,
Uh-huh.
if you have a very slippery bathtub, you can purchase decals that are rough texture, and they're a sticker, and you put them on your bathtub
Oh.
so that you have grip.
okay.
Could that, I mean,
Instead of a bath mat.
I
yeah,
guess, it
We
could
looked
work. I haven't looked at those.
decal type.
I guess my concern would be, it seems like a bathtub is a smooth surface in which a
Slippery
decal type sticker would be easily applied, and I'm not sure if a surface with more texture and
Yeah.
grit
That's-
by design would allow it.
Uh,
Well,
And
that
then
sounds
I-
like an inexpensive option that we could at least look at and see if it's effective for a short time. I'm all for kind of trying out some,
well, then I'd be
Options.
curious, as Celeste, if she found the one that,
with the
those
taper.
people,
Yeah.
because the ones that we had, they were tapered a little bit, I mean, I remember them, but it wasn't down to nothing, like, it was
Correct.
definitely, like,
Yeah.
you would catch your foot.
Yeah.
Celeste, would you mind just emailing me the place of that you were referring to?
I mean, I don't know if it's where they got it, but I was
Right.
curious
Well, I
enough to
could-
try to find it on the internet
Maybe
myself,
find a
so I
staff
will-
person there to reach out to.
I have a question, Justin worked really hard on trying to figure out what product and all that. Are there notes that he's left behind, or could we contact him and say, hey,
Well, I guess I want to make sure that it wasn't, we were all working on this for the last, period of years, like Justin, bless his heart, he was working with Levi at the time, or Courtney, or myself, or Darren has been involved, Lindsay's been involved. Yeah, he left, we had many conversations, he wasn't acting alone. That's not really how our organization works. So every decision that we made, all of these solutions that we tried to find were done after a lot of consultation and discussion internally, and after consulting, what is the LORAC doing in Lake Oswego? What is Astoria doing? What is, this pool doing or that pool doing? Even at the LORAC, the Lake Oswego Recreation and Aquatic Center that just opened a few months ago, they're having slip problems in this brand new facility. Astoria was having slip problems, so they replaced their floor, and Jonah told me that, they're still having, maybe less, but still having slip problems. It's a result of the environment and the behavior, and unfortunately, a lot of the behavior with kiddos is they run around, they're not always the safest, and with older adults, I'm sorry to say this, I feel bad saying it, slips and falls are more likely, and we know that, and that's why we program some of our stuff to help build better balance, better spatial and cognitive awareness, and really pushing for people to go to our slip and fall prevention training that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Well, I am gonna comment that one of the fall with the fracture is one of our fires.
Yeah, I know.
So,
yeah.
that balance isn't really, I don't know how that happened. And my understanding is that fracture was not known immediately, but still, the fall had occurred at our facility. So.
I mean, my next door neighbor just fell at a soccer game on a muddy field, and she broke both bones in her arms, and she's a young person who is very balanced, so like, I mean, even.
I wonder, I'm sorry. You were gonna say something.
Well, I know from our research that if you fall at home, that is your biggest indicator of whether you're gonna fall again.
Yeah.
So a fall is an early indicator of some other issues. So it's great concern to me about people falling.
Well, and my master's thesis was on falls, up at Columbia Memorial. And signage doesn't work because you go blind to the signs. I mean, one of the last conversations I had with Justin was about, we were thinking about getting red and blue because of the Seaside High School colors, mats, and then switching them out because people would notice the change. But then they'd get used to the blue, then they'd start tripping. So then we'd switch out to red, and we wound up, that never went anywhere. But people go blind to monotony, because the signs are there, slippery when wet, but you don't see it. And that's not because of it's just a natural process that a sign is up there so long, you just don't notice it.
Well, I bet if you painted some jacks and Legos on the floor, people would notice it.
I was wondering, since Justice Smith went down in Nehalem, I wonder, he's got a new pool, I wonder what kind of issues he's having,
Yeah.
or not having.
What's his flooring?
They must have certainly done the work.
Skylar, I hate to load you up with more stuff, and I know you've been dealing with this for some period of time, but is it possible to come back with some product solutions?
I think what I'm hearing is
I'm not leaning towards revamping the floor, doing physical changes to the floor, but if we can find a product that will make it less slippery, I think I can support that.
Okay. I will do that, and if we find something that seems inexpensive enough to maybe try out before the next board meeting, maybe staff will take that action.
Just go with it. Yeah.
But, definitely report back, and I do, I do agree with Marty that it is a concern, and it's something that I think we all internally worry about and want to prevent. Because we know when the slips happen there that it can be pretty catastrophic, the injuries that result. It's not a friendly surface to fall on.
You're well naked.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
there's a lot of risk,
awful.
for sure.
Well, in the text message I sent you of the fall that I witnessed, was because a mother was tugging her child with her, and the kid didn't want to go, and the kid wound up slipping, and mom caught her, like the ice skater, about that far from the ground. But I texted, you know, because I was sitting right there, you know, and I saw it. I mean, and there was nothing that anyone could have done except the mom who lifted the arm up, and the child was fine. It was a near fall, but, you know, it was because they were going trying to go two different directions. And no, there was no harm, and I didn't say anything. Somebody asked me why I didn't, and I said, well, because it was a near fall, and it was, you know, a child saying, no, I want to go this way, and no, mom saying, and mom being bigger, and the child wound up going, but lost her footing, but there was no hit the cement because, I mean, gee, it was like that far from the cement. But I texted Skylar to say, I just witnessed, you know, because it's happening. And I think we've always been attentive, but I think people, you know, the community hasn't seen that. They haven't understood that. And so I'm grateful that we're doing this officially. And I thank Marty for bringing that back to us.
Any other comments? Noah or Isaiah, when Marty calls to figure out how to get online, can you let her know that the discussion started around 7:10?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, Seaside Kids. Now, you are going to recuse yourself from the vote, but also from the discussion?
I mean, I can participate a little bit in the discussion, I'm also on the board.
Gotcha.
If you have questions about it, I feel like I could probably speak to that a little bit. But
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
you know, just can't say no.
This is kind of, surprising, but not surprising, but, I outline of this thing, I, had some questions about, on the second page, I guess, if you will, on staff and volunteer coordination, recruit, train, and manage program staff, and a pool of qualified volunteers. Are these volunteers gonna require a background check, Seaside Kids? If we're involved?
If you work with kids, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've already been managing that part of that organization's volunteers by running their background checks for the last 2 years that we've been involved with them. That was a risk that I think they recognized that they were taking on, and we wanted to help provide them. So we run them through the same process that our volunteers and employees or potential employees get ran through.
So do we have a current MOU in place?
We do, but it's at what I would say a much more, I don't know, elementary level of intertwinement. I think what we're looking for is what is being proposed, mostly by Seaside Kids to us, but I think at least staff-wise are supportive of this effort, is a stronger relationship where essentially the Seaside Kids organization would exist, but primarily as a fundraising organization, and that the district would manage the other aspects of youth sports that they have in the past taken on. And that's a little bit, there's a lot of play, I think, still to kind of figure out, and a lot of it, to be honest, depends on how engaged the volunteers are. So, I mean, we need, you know, a batch of local coaches and assistant coaches, we need a batch of field workers, we need concession workers, we need we need coordinators for kind of each of those youth leagues that Aaron had up there. We need a T-ball coordinator, you know, and so on. But what we want to do is really, once we get those people identified, or Seaside Kids get those people identified, then we'll make sure their background check, make sure they're trained and kind of activated, organize schedules, and promote marketing and the registration process through our systems. So,
Will this change, because Seaside Kids operates outside the district?
yeah.
How will that affect our relationship to areas that are not in the district, such as Incorporated, Deer Heart, Cannon Beach, and those those families that will participate in this, are we gonna have, how will the park district be compensated for man hours in management?
Yeah, so the good news is that our current agreement with them, our current MOU already provides compensation to the district for people hours, for our time in being league administrators, and that organization has worked fine in the past. In terms of the out-of-district folks, I think it gets a little bit tricky. Right now, Seaside Kids doesn't have any intention to change their existing price structure, but I think that's something that we've talked about. One of their main tenets as an organization is to provide free or low-cost activities and opportunities to kids.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have any desire to change that, or to have a out-of-district pricing structure. So that's something that we'll have to kind of work through. I guess from my perception, there are no fields in Gearhart, there are no fields in Cannon Beach that are utilized. Yes, some of these kids probably do live
There's
in.
one field at Norway Field, that's actually in here, right?
In Lighthouse.
Lighthouse is in the district.
Is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he meant, Brandon mentioned that earlier.
Delmore Loop is in the district. So anyways, I don't really view that as a concern. It's not a staff concern. If it's a board concern, I'm happy to hear that perspective, and if there's workarounds that you want to implement for that. I kind of view this as being, if we were a startup park and recreation agency in Seaside, and Seaside Kids didn't exist, we'd be offering youth sports to all the Seaside School District kids. And yeah, some of them would live in Gearhart, and some of them would live in Seaside, and we would probably have a different pricing structure for out-of-district versus in-district. But this dynamic of having this organization be here and have them be, older than we are actually, and the footing that they have in our community, I think it makes a really unique opportunity for partnership. And to be honest, I think they're seeing Catherine and some other great volunteers that are younger, outstanding. There's a set of volunteers that have traditionally run that organization, and they are ready to, or have already, kind of phased out of their activity levels, and they need help modernizing some of their practices and their registration process, for example. And volunteers, it's really hard to find volunteers. It's really hard to find 25 or 30 Catherines, as you all know, because you are all like Catherine. And so I think this will help give them a little bit of backbone, and some support in the organization of their leagues and activities. And it'll still be primarily a volunteer-led organization.
Has this been through legal?
It hasn't. No, I haven't even gotten feedback from the Seaside Kids organization. It's been sent to their chair.
Yeah, I talked to him today, he hasn't even had a chance to
So,
say yet.
but,
We meet every other
you have a
Friday.
meeting on this Friday or next? I guess, no, this is the 5th Friday, so you probably would meet next.
So,
Yeah.
are you asking for the board's approval to sign the contract?
I don't think so at this point, because, like I said, we haven't even
Information.
gotten feedback, but I want to make sure that the board is visible and assess or get feedback on concerns that you may have about their relationship.
Can
and
I
think-
share a
Yeah.
little bit, of
I have
insight
one.
maybe? So, I've been sitting in on meetings at Seaside Kids for the last, 2 years, and just recently joined the board, solely because my kids participate in the programs, and I feel like it's such a valuable, thing for our community to offer, particularly with our demographics, free sports for kids to get them active. They do softball, baseball, t-ball, wrestling, volleyball, and football for youth from kindergarten up to 8th grade, for some of those. And they've been, next year is the 70th year of Seaside Kids. We're working on doing a big, hoorah, working on some stuff like that, trying to get a big promotion and gather interest and stuff. But 70 years of providing free youth sports. The current volunteerism, as is across the nation in all aspects, volunteerism is just down. And all the board that runs Seaside Kids and everybody, it's all volunteer run. Like, every dollar that is raised goes to uniforms, you know, overhead, refs, and field maintenance, all those things. Nobody gets paid to do it. And so, I think the struggle right now has been that, yes, there is some turnover on the board, and we're all feeling, you know, like there's not enough of us to keep it going to the level that we would like. And Park and Rec, in the last, it's been 2 years? I feel like it's been 2 years.
It has, yeah.
It has been so helpful in organizing the registration, because that was a huge frustration for parents, was, we, you know, being volunteers, trying to get all of them. We had 400 kids, in our spring programs. Like, that's an amazing amount of children to be trying to organize in the teams and get the uniforms ordered and all the things, right? So we paid Park and Rec, to help us with that overhead, and right now we're just hoping to really just focus our efforts on the fundraising. Like, we're really good at fundraising. We've got a pancake feed next month where we make a lot of money, where we're working on a really great donation letter. Next year's the 70th, we'll really, you know, come up with some fun things to really, you know, and the community knows Seaside Kids. And it is important to be able to offer free sports as much as we can, or low cost, as much as we can. So trying to meld, I think, that vision and that organization and the fundraising and all that with some support from Park and Rec is what's trying to happen in this document. And like I said, I know for a fact, Jason is our current chair, and he has not yet had a chance to review this. Our next meeting is next week, so.
You'll probably have questions too.
Yeah.
I've only got one more question, and it's about the fundraising. On the ski contribution to, is committed to fundraising, contributions to the district on a pre-agreed upon schedule. I know the amounts probably can't be pre-agreed, but will our foundation come into play between the nonprofit Seaside Kids? Will the money be transferred through the foundation?
Yeah, our intent is to have the Seaside Kids money sit separate from district funds in the foundation, in a similar way as we've held funds for other efforts through our foundation, and our foundation board is in support of that, and I think that we'll be able to, I guess, continue to execute the mission of having as much of the funds go towards the actual kids and efforts and the programs and stuff as Seaside Kids has done. I think that's maybe another area where Seaside Kids is looking for support with the financial, you know, the financial part of running an organization like that. It can be complex with fundraising and teams and all the things that you have to buy and payments out to certain vendors. And those are things that we do regularly. We have Chris, he's awesome at those. They have a volunteer that's been doing them for, I don't know, a long time. So.
Yes, Nancy, she's going to be transitioning back to me.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Our hope is to, you know, with the treasurer to be, is to, you know, really work closely hand in hand. And, you know, we're not trying to, I think what we really want as an organization, Erin, who was here, she also is a board member of Seaside Kids, and that was one of the tenets of the first agreement, is that we had a staff representative. So it originally had been Justin, he was great at it. Now it's Erin. But I think what we'd like to do as much as we can is to keep this mission, this really special thing that's incredibly unique. I don't think there's another organization anywhere in the country that has free sports. Like, if you ask any kid ask any parent whose kiddo plays baseball or softball, they're going to be paying $300, $400, $500 minimum in another part of even our county.
Check out swimming.
Yeah, and swimming, you know, so to have some of these opportunities at free for the kids, I think is really special. So our goal is to really support this organization, help kind of continue the mission along, make sure that our financial needs are met, that we're not, you know, going to take a loss on the staff time, but that, the organization can continue doing what they do best, and we can provide that support for them.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think the collaboration could really enhance the district's standing, throughout the community, including the unincorporated areas that are not part of the district at this time. It will demonstrate, our willingness to serve our young people and families.
Skylar, I'm good with the contract. In fact, I support the contract. My only request is that it go through legal before.
Okay.
And I have a question on the second page, and number
Yeah.
2, subsection 1. What,
You're talking about operational oversight, so I just want to make sure I'm looking in the right spot.
Yeah.
Okay, number
and
1.
I was just trying to understand, so the Seaside Kids pays for their uniforms, but we order them, or, I didn't understand, we coordinate.
Yeah, go ahead, Catherine.
Well, so what happened this past year was, Erin would give the ordering form to the coaches, and then they turned everything into her, and then she ordered everything and made sure it was all.
And then we have the uniforms all here, or in our facilities, and then we say, hey, coaches, come get your uniforms, and we make sure that they're there, hopefully by that first game, and we have the hats and the visors and the balls and the, everything. That's that coordination piece.
And that is monies from volunteers?
That money is from Seaside Kids, that's what they're fundraising for, so they would pay for the uniforms and the equipment, but then they help, ask us to kind of organize and distribute.
Well, this is really, this takes me back to the beginning when I was first on the board, and we were competing with Seaside Kids for small grant from the Vernon Louise Raw Fund. Mainly, we would apply for the same grant, and there were representatives of Seaside Kids that took Mary Blake aside, says, look, you stick to the pool, we do sports. And now, look at the need, and look at what we can do to turn that around.
The benefit of collaboration.
Yeah.
So, but if I could, I think that is, so as a kid who benefited from Seaside Kids growing up, so I love the idea of collaborating with Seaside Kids, but I do think there is, I fear a little bit what you're talking about, Mike, and whether or not we need to have some role clarity that maybe needs to be a little more specific in the contract or in the MOU. So for instance, if we had a community organization that came to us and that they said they wanted to support kids' activities in Seaside, kids' sports activities in Seaside, does that come to us or does it go to SKI and to Seaside Kids? So I worry a little bit as fiduciaries.
Are you worried?
If there's a blurriness, if we get into a conflict of interest kind of situation that Mike was just talking about that happened previously, that was what came to my mind. I like the whole idea, but I do worry a little bit. And I also worry about sort of the energy of our staff. If there's short volunteers, does that mean our staff are jumping over to support the event? What is our obligation?
Happened in the past, but.
So I just have some worries, I guess, about some of that, particularly given our financial situation currently and our role as board members and our fiduciary duties to the district. I worry about, conflicts of interest with SKI and their fundraising duties, and where do their fundraising duties start and stop, and where do ours start and stop?
Yeah.
And also our energy, and where we spend our time, which is frankly the most expensive thing that we.
Transparency is really important.
So on the top of page 3, under Seaside Kids it talks about provide strategic direction. And I think that's one of the things that was one of the things I circled. But I think that maybe that could be clarified a little bit about what the roles are in each of the organizations.
Okay.
Any other comments on Seaside Kids?
It's an exciting process.
Skylar, are you good with the
Yeah, I
direction?
feel like I'm kind of awaiting feedback from their side of the table. And, once we get that, then we'll make some adjustments based on feedback I've gotten, and obviously work through Eileen to ensure she, thinks the agreement
Do
is.
you need a vote?
I don't think so right now. I think there's enough, efforting still to do to improve the draft.
Okay.
So-
Can I ask one more, two things, just so financial reporting, maybe it's yours. I'm just wondering who does have financial responsibility, so for instance, if a kid, God forbid, got seriously injured, like, is this giving us any financial oversight of Seaside Kids? Who's like?
No, but there's insurance and,
Yeah.
the standard language for,
That's the last page.
what do they call it, indemnify and hold harmless language in here. There's only $1 million of insurance. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what
Yeah, I don't know either.
I will get back to you with that.
And that is per occurrence.
Yeah.
yeah, not per event. No. Yeah, per occurrence, not per person. So if you have 5 people injured, your cap is still. So, are we good?
More to come. Yeah, I think so.
Let's move on. So too many things. How did you do this, Captain? My respect for Catherine goes up every week. So we, a couple months ago, we started in the process, or in September, I guess, we started the process of the CEO's evaluation. And, you know, since I've been here, it's always seemed a little clumsy to me. And there are like 4 pillars of organizational management. There's HR, marketing, operations, and finance. And we follow the rules in all the 3 other things, but HR, it seems like, you know, we haven't had the HR director involved in this evaluation process, which I believe they should be, but that creates some problems, and then, you know, Skylar supervises the HR director, so I want to make sure that both you and Savannah are comfortable while we navigate this kind of fine line. And I don't want Savannah to. I want to make use of her expertise because it's the thing I know least about. So I asked Savannah to you know, make some recommendations about a process that we might use to evaluate the executive director, and this is what she came up with, and I think there's some really, really good stuff in here, and it's really focused on the HR piece and the evaluation piece. Do I think we can accomplish this this year? Probably not. I think we're going to continue with our standard evaluation process that you have done, but I think for the long term, as we progress into the next year, we have to do this again in next September. I think we should modify, amend this to make it how we want to evaluate our CEO, and in terms of in terms of a avant-garde process. I mean, Skylar deserves much more than we've been giving him in terms of evaluation, I think.
So, isn't it in July?
It's in usually
We're supposed to
August or
evaluate you?
September, isn't it?
It's moved around a little bit, so we have a standard for the other employees to have their evaluations completed June 30th, by June 30th. Mine is always trickled behind that, and I'm comfortable with that. I don't think the timing. Yeah, that's a good point. So the timing, I don't think it's that important.
The other is retroactive.
Yeah.
Well, but what is important to me is that you have a reliable, meaningful feedback from your employer, so that makes us better, it makes you better, and, I didn't think the feedback before was as good, and I apologize for that, was as good as we could make it, because, but what I wanted to do was present this to the board, we don't have to go through it tonight, but take a look at it, evaluate it, see if this is a process that you think might move, and I'm gonna rely on Savannah's expertise. She won't do the evaluation, of course, we'll do that, but I'm gonna rely on her expertise to make sure that we have a meaningful, reliable process in place, so that over the next
Well, can I
years.
just ask, can you help me with what you just said with step one? Just give me some clarification about exactly where, I mean, we're gonna look at the past.
Yeah, we gave him a list of marching orders and things that he's
Right.
supposed to accomplish, but the nuance of the leader of an organization is not what they do, but who they are. It's the competencies they have in, not just in accomplishing things, but moving the community in ways that we can't measure. You know, for example, his relationship with, Downtown Seaside Association, what's it called? SDBA and the Chamber of Commerce, that is highly valuable to this district. And I think the things that are valuable, really valuable, we do not measure so well. And this gives us a chance to look at those things, look at the competencies that are really needed. Plus, it gives us the opportunity to say, Skylar's gonna retire in maybe 10 years, 20 years. He may be hit by a beer truck before that, who knows, or win the lottery. And he could be gone. And we need to have a way to establish the competencies needed for his replacement when they come in. And I think that this is one way to do that. So I'm just looking for board input on this. We're not doing anything different for now, but I think there's some opportunities to make some improvements.
Well, so, I have a question, but I don't know if it belongs out in public yet.
Okay, well, ask me later.
Huh?
Ask me later.
Yeah.
So, can I offer some thoughts and feedback?
Uh-huh.
As someone who has compiled this process for the last few years,
I know.
my very first one that I did not oversee, but participated in on the board was, one board member was halfway out the door. They kind of went, oh, right, we gotta do that. It was a 30-second conversation, and then everybody left. So, yeah, that was where I started from. And then seeing this, I actually feel like we do a fair amount of this. In different, like, Skylar, review of the previous year goals. He's always provided us with a document, kind of year in review.
And every month he does.
Yep, and yeah, we added, when Celeste and Erica and I were on the board, we added in the, ED goals. The evaluation criteria, we have that in the Excel form that everybody fills out and rates, and I don't know off the top of my head specifically these categories, but pretty close. And it's, a standardized form that's reviewed, but with board approval. The evaluation process itself, Skylar does a self-evaluation. We do a 360 evaluation, compiles that information. And the board evaluation, everybody brings their forms. They gave them to me. I smooshed them all together, did an average, and provided that summary report. And then we met with Skylar and discussed the results. And then I would email Chris with the results. So I feel like we're almost there.
Well, what makes this difference is step 2.
Is what?
step two.
Well, and change, I
It
mean.
redefines some of the things.
Yeah, which has always been like when Erica, you know, with her HR expertise was on the board way back when, we had talked many a time about really refining that, and it just never quite coalesced into, I mean, it's come a long way from when I very first started, I would say.
Well, am I on the wrong track? Am
No, not at all.
Well,
I'm just sharing,
because
like, I don't think we're that far off.
I? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I really do appreciate, because what I've done is look back at what I've written the previous year to the new form.
Yeah.
And you provided that, actually, I don't have to do anything except read. And I think, I don't know, Skylar, I mean, I think it's been a good process. I think it's been a good process.
Well, and the other thing too, that I feel like any employee evaluation, right, is it meaningful to us and, you know, your employee, like, are we getting anything out of the process, right? So, I mean, for Skylar, it would be, do you want more, different, you know, like, how can we give you different feedback, better feedback, more feedback, you know, et cetera. And then same for us, you know, is it a beneficial process? Can we change something, do something different? The goal would also be great, like, so Savannah is, you know, I'm sorry I missed the last meeting, I was very, very sick. And so I still haven't met Savannah, so I would love to know if we are, in alignment with what you're gonna be doing for everybody else, too.
Well, it's gonna be different, because.
But it shouldn't be so different.
Well, it's the competencies are gonna be far different, because typically you rate an employee based on what they accomplish, you know, how many widgets come off the line. But when you have a leadership position where they're not measured based on how many widgets come off the line, they're measured on the financial performance of the organization, you know, all of these other things. Go ahead.
What's a widget off the line?
Well, when they talk about, say,
So sorry.
manufacturing, you know, manufacturing airplanes or pencils, that doesn't matter, they're just widgets. They just come out, it's just a term to define unit of production. So he isn't measured on his units of production. He's measured on the function of the organization.
Well, but so is the EDT, you know, so the process wouldn't be super.
For the
different.
leadership team.
Right.
Exactly. But I'm not confident enough. I need somebody like Celeste or Savannah to lay this stuff out. I mean, I know the competencies that I think are important, and I know the competencies that maybe businesses would desire, but I think it's up to the board to, well, first, Celeste, did you get the document?
Yeah, I have,
Oh,
yes, I do have it.
Okay, I didn't know if you received it or not, but okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So those are just my thoughts, and I'm not going to the mat over this, I'm just trying to think of a way we can get better.
No, I think improvement is always the goal. What do you think, Skylar?
I agree with the sentiment. I think Catherine, summarized it, some of my thoughts as well, and I don't think we're super far away, and I would really feel comfortable with using the expertise of our HR person right now. I think she's really excited about helping the board with this. It does feel a little bit, I wouldn't say awkward, but just different than how we've done it before. But I don't think, maybe Catherine felt this, it felt a little bit like cumbersome for her to have to do all of the work for it. You know, gathering all of your feedback and synthesizing it and presenting it back to me. It's a heavy lift for a volunteer in addition to the other 20 things that we're talking about. So in terms of feedback and wanting that, I do value that. I think, we have a very engaged group of elected officials. Your engagement looks different for each of you. It's a different style, a different tactic, a different communication approach, but I feel like you know how to reach me when there's issues that you'd like to see addressed or that you're not pleased with or you're hearing from constituents. I think you know how to get a hold of me, and most of you have in situations past. What I really value is just that engagement, and I think that's happened throughout the year. This gives us an opportunity, though, to sit down, perhaps in executive session when it's all composed, and for you to be able to be, maybe more candid, more honest. I think there's a lot of good that's been done, and I typically feel thanked for that good or recognized. Most of it's not my efforts, honestly. It's the result of people like Bonnie and Isaiah and Megan that were here earlier. But I also want to change my behavior and be a better leader, and I can't do that without feedback. And this position is unique in that I'm not going to get a lot of feedback from the public unless it's usually pretty critical, and then from this group. So I do really appreciate it. Yeah, I think, I'll just say one other thing. I think the format that we use for my review can and maybe even should look a little different than the other staff. And I think we've struggled with that in the past is, well, this is the manager, this is the full-time staff evaluation tool. How does it doesn't always fit for the aquatic coordinator, it doesn't always fit for the HR and admin manager, it may not always fit for me. So I think modifying it is great, so long as I know the standards that I'm going to be measured on and it's consistent.
I wanted to give you some information that, I don't know if you remember when you went to the Bonnie's party before, and there was a lady who had she praised you, and right now I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she praised you and the organization you're running, and she did that again the last meeting. I was the only person that was able to show up, and it was just a conversation out of the blue, and she was sitting next to me, and she talked about, do you realize, and she's somebody that's been to Hawaii, and I don't know if that's the facility she was.
I do remember she talked to me about her experience.
Right, and so she repeated that again.
Yeah.
And that is, what, a year later?
That's really kind of her. The feedback that I remember, it had really very little to do with me. It's that praise should be all shown to Lindsay and keeping the lifeguards trained and staff, the pool open. So, I think we have a great team, and you see me here at the meetings, but I think the efforts of the district are a result of a great team.
She actually praised you by name, Skylar, and, because as the leader.
Maybe it's just misguided.
I don't think so.
I know that you were
Maybe she thought you worked somewhere else.
Yes, I wish you had been there, because it wasn't like she was trying to hide it. I was very grateful, and, in a moment, her name will pop in my head, and I'll go, oh, yeah. But anyway,
I got to see my son make a tackle on defense, so that was pretty fun.
I noticed the socks you're wearing.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that he didn't make it on offense.
That's
So,
true.
Skylar,
Yeah.
one of the tenets of being a good leader is having the foresight to hire good staff, and so that you
Not batting 1,000 on that either. But
we have very good staff.
And
You don't have to
we
be
do.
100%.
We got a pretty good cast of misfits.
Yeah. So I know
What
it's
is
humble,
the-
but take some of the credit.
what is the timing, I guess, or what are the next steps in our process, either for this process or for the previous process?
So I'm gonna talk to Savannah, maybe tomorrow. I'll talk to Savannah, see if she can, well, first, I haven't heard yet from Celeste, and I respect her view on this, particular issue. But I'd like to get HR to nail down some more tangible, things under these categories under step 2.
Okay.
I like those as general categories.
Yeah.
Celeste has some of those same things in her analysis that she did last year. And I'd like to come back next month, and even invite Savannah, perhaps, to, who's doing the staff report next month?
I think we're gonna eventually get it.
Talked about maybe,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right,
Yeah.
that's right.
let me pull it up.
Hey, listen, I'll talk to Savannah for this year, this past year, whether it ends in July or September, whatever the year end is. We're gonna follow the same process that we did last year.
Okay.
This is future processing.
Okay.
We're talking about what's gonna
We
happen
haven't
in
done his
June.
for-
Next year, yeah.
But we haven't done his for.
We haven't done
But
this year.
I think that's smart, and I even think the analysis kind of about what is the cycle, whether it's June or after, I mean, is it after staff, the rest of the staff get their performance reviews? Like, what is the timing and getting on a better cycle about that? And I agree, I think we have a good process, as Catherine lined out, that we can follow this year. It's consistent with what we've done, and I think we can improve it, right? I think there's some recommendations here, and we want to make sure it is congruent with what we're doing with the rest of the staff.
But importantly, for the first time, we're actually engaging HR in this
Yeah, right,
process.
exactly. And that's why, that would make it congruent with the rest of the staff, right? To
Yeah.
engage the HR person.
And secondly, in my conversations with Savannah, she is awesome. She is really good. She's a gem, and I plan to use her expertise whenever we can on this kind of stuff. So those are my thoughts. I don't mean to beat this dead horse anymore. So if anybody has any additional thoughts.
Would you like me to share the things that we used last year?
We have it, don't we?
I have it.
Oh, you have more stuff than came to the board?
I have the
The
form,
survey.
I have all the blanks of all the things.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take a look.
I think all that Savannah shared with you is what Catherine had shared with me, so she probably has a lot more data, I don't know,
Yeah,
the full picture. I
Yeah,
think what
please.
you often gave me was kind of the summary.
Yes.
Yeah.
send it to me. I'll meet with Savannah. We'll finish off this year's process at the November meeting. And then this will be future redesign, or maybe not. Maybe the board will say, nah, we kind of like the way we're doing it, so we can move that way.
I think I've got some more records.
I feel like every year we improve a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
A lot.
We struggle though still. Yeah.
So,
Well,
is
it's hard getting 5 voices into one document. That was the part that was always the hardest when I was doing it, was we started out with just everybody submitting the papers to me, and I combined them, and I was like, no, we need to actually have a discussion about it. So that's when we started kicking Skylar out, which he thought was unorthodox, but it helped to then finally be able to write down what people, get us all on the same page. So maybe 5 people to agree on one document is the challenging part.
Yeah, I respect that. Would it be, in terms of where Savannah is, would it be appropriate for her to lead the discussion, or you want the board to lead the discussion?
I think that's probably up to you. I would say it would be unusual to have her lead the discussion, especially like if you and I choose to have the discussion be an executive session. I think, if the board takes the approach that they used to take, where they ask me to leave for a few minutes, and have kind of a discussion, and that summary synthesizing of voices kind of happen, and Savannah's here and I'm not here, I think that feels
Awkward.
awkward and
And use an
not
idea.
ideal. Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Can he more provide us guidance on the overall process?
I think-
And then we go off and take on that process ourselves?
yeah, I think that's true. I think also she could do the synthesizing of your voices. You could send your report to her, I mean, so long as you trust her and you trust our processes internally, she could do some of that and then send them back to you as here's all the feedback from the 5 of you.
So, the problem that I ran into when I did it that way was, it was very easy to see, this came from this board member, and this came from this board member, and so without having the discussion, to then, organically blend everything together into one voice, it was just, when I was taking them from the 5 sheets and trying to here's the comments, it was like, well, that came from Erica, that came from Celeste, that came from Patrick.
Could implement an anonymous electronic, you would have to do it electronically.
I mean, we did the 360 form where we removed all ability to specifically answer questions and just did the scale, solely because it is so easy to give yourself away, especially in a smaller organization. I'm not that any of us are, I mean, we don't have anything horrible that we want to say about you, Skylar, you know that, but, trying to, it is a challenge when it's a very different thing, I think, than what you do with your employees, because you are one person and you get the final say on what gets told to that employee. We have to all come to a consensus. That's the challenge, that you get to now have that. You're
Thanks for that. I can assign that.
I'm sick that day.
Okay,
well
this,
played.
tentatively, this is kind of gonna develop into a process, and, the board will have many, chances to put their fingerprints on the knife handle before this is all done. And is any other comments or questions before we move on?
So we were actually gonna go retroactive to July.
That's what we've done every year.
Right, and I know, and we did it, but it seems
Well,
like, honest to God, it's
that's in
November.
case he gets a raise.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what Celeste was talking about, where we need to get the schedule
We
fixed and.
tried to do it so it is June, I can say it's June. We tried to do it in June when we first turned over, but there was so much board turnover, and then you're going, welcome to the board. By the way, this month on the agenda, we're removing Skylar, and they're like, we just missed
At the
Skylar.
July meeting.
Yeah.
The year we were all up for re-election, we wanted to do the evaluation before the election in case there was
Yeah.
turnover.
Yeah. So it's been in flux.
I'm happy if we can make it the first of the year, we can make it August, we can make it June. I don't care when we do it, but I think we need to have a process that we follow every year.
What was I gonna say? I would say for this upcoming, I'll send you all the things that I have used, tools that I have. I think having Savannah review them and maybe make changes or whatever is fine. And then I would hope maybe that we could, start that process and then have the discussion at the November meeting because it generally, hopefully, won't take too long, but it is important.
We could ask the SDAO to help us with guidelines too. The board can use SDAO instead of using our own HR person. We can use an SDAO HR person.
But for this time, I'll send you everything and then maybe have somebody look it over, see what she thinks, and then go from there.
I'll chat. You good?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Thank you.
Executive Director report.
Yeah, so, a few things to mention. First off, I need to apologize. I noticed as he was speaking, Brandon, his last name is not Kraft. That's a different Brandon that I work with in some involvement. Brandon's last name is Dole. So I am sorry, I will apologize to him too. But, Sue, I knew you'd catch that at some point, because you got an eye for the details. Want to just pass on my appreciation to Bonnie and Megan. Again, I think everybody here has a sense of how great they are, but really one of the things that they both do that I appreciate about so many of our staff is building strong community. And, you know, Bonnie's built this incredible community or continued building incredible community amongst his fitness class participants. Megan does the same thing with her morning 5:45 a.m. group, and they are so close. You know, when one of them misses a day, they're texting and they're figuring out if they're okay, if they're sick. And I think there's so much of that that goes on by our staff. It's really, it's touching. It's unique to our organization. It's really special, I think, for our community. The first thing I just wanted to recap briefly was the ORPA conference, which was a couple weeks ago. This is the first time we've had occasionally individual staff that attend. I think almost always am able to attend. This time we had 4 total staff, so Courtney, myself, Isaiah, and Aaron all attended the conference, and then Bonnie came down for a day to get his award. It was a really great conference in Eugene. Had a lot of responsibilities as I am terming off that board after about a 7-year stretch, and my service on the board is complete, but I just appreciate the support and appreciate those staff for taking time to be there. The next ORPA conference is actually in Seaside. I've been working really hard behind the scenes to get the conference back to Seaside. They've kind of outgrown the convention center, but I think there's some opportunities here that are really special. So it'll be next September 2026. Some other just notes for my report. I don't have a printed out sheet of goals. I think the main task that I've been focusing a lot of my time on were on all those items in old business and new business that we already discussed. 2 other things that I wanted to share, though. We had our full-time staff participated in what we call our management team retreat. That was a couple weeks ago where we spent a whole day together, and we focused on leadership and communication as the kind of the principles of improvement and study, and it was great experience. We also had all staff training last Saturday, I guess just 2 or 3 days ago, and this is the first time that we had 100% participation. We still had a couple staff that were out on vacation or were sick, but 100% of our staff participated, and that was really awesome. We did some risk management training, some EDI committee training, some, I don't know, Isaiah, how would you describe Darren's training? It's like a focus on self-improvement, on managing your own emotions, on kind of holding true to your own values in the workplace environment, and then Isaiah did a great IT training too, so happy
Your pastor.
about
Is that
that.
number 1?
There was a lot of discussion about fishing, but not the kind of fish.
We're
not the kind of fish
Don't
that you
click
might
on the
think.
link.
One item coming up that didn't make the special events recap, our friends to the south at the North County Recreation District, who are employing several previous district staff, Justin, Marcus, James Massa, and they recently hired Adam to be their aquatic coordinator, Adam Morse, most of you may know. They're hosting an open house for their new pool on Saturday, November 15th. And I can forward you the email. You can RSVP, or you can probably just show up. But if you're interested in seeing their new facility, Justin has invited us. And he's also wanted me to extend an invitation if anybody from the board wants a behind-the-scenes tour with Justin. He's happy to provide that to you. And I think we're working hard to forge a really good partnership with them and doing some fun things upcoming once they kind of get their feet under them with the new pool. So really happy for him and for that community. Wanted to just share a few, obviously we had a pretty significant incident and shared that with the board. So give me just a sec, I'll pull up. Hope this isn't too traumatizing, but I felt it's relevant to kind of just talk about this situation. This is probably one of the most, if not the most significant accidents that we've had in my 10 years with the district, just in terms of the impact that it could have had, I guess. There's what we call in the industry near misses.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a near miss that, you can prevent, and you do prevent, and it feels really good that you might have prevented, something bad from happening to somebody or a group of people. And then there's near misses that got prevented and you really had nothing to do with. On this particular day, come on.
Isn't it really more like a near hit?
Well, and this is a woman who's in my 11 o'clock class.
Yeah, on this particular day, it was last Wednesday, about 12:30, we had a two-vehicle accident involving a patron that was leaving the 11 o'clock class. She's a frequent user of the district facility. She loves it here. She lives out of the district, but still comes here. And they had an accident as she was leaving the library parking lot, and the accident occurred on Broadway, but then she, we're not sure if she accidentally hit the gas instead of the brake, or if her foot got stuck, or what exactly happened, but she
doesn't remember.
escalated in speed across the, through Broadway. Luckily, there were no cars parked there, or maybe unluckily, I'm not sure. And as you'll see, there was a pretty decent impact to our playground area, the sandbox. All things considered, it could have been significantly worse. And to be just totally transparent, almost every day at that time, if we have dry weather, we have kids using that space.
I mean, in the picture, you can see kids' toys in the sandbox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, it's pretty common for our staff to want to help the kids, get out their wiggles before kind of afternoon rest or nap time for preschool age kiddos. So after lunch, they go out there, they play, they, enjoy the sun and all that. But this day it had been pretty wet, so they were not out there. I think
Wow.
just, the impact and the way that it happened was pretty, sorry.
Did the airbag deploy?
The airbag
Yes, it
did
did.
deploy, yeah. So you can see somehow the car got lodged in between two of these, I think they're alders or oak trees, I'm not sure, I'm not a tree person. But these two we have this kind of row of beautiful trees in that space, and they're starting to dig leaf. And anyways, this car got lodged between two of them.
Well, what I understand is it kind of went airborne
That's
and
true.
sideways and landed then.
It hit it sideways and swung into the...
Yeah,
So if you,
the car's totaled.
if you watch the screen, you'll see.
Oh,
How can
no.
you total a car in a 20-mile-an-hour zone?
It doesn't look total to me.
Well, no, they told her the car's
Yeah.
totaled.
Oh, I didn't, the video.
So this is thankful to Isaiah for helping us capture, and I'm sorry the quality is not great on this connection that I have, but it did look,
It's pretty
Especially
impressive.
the right side got
Pretty-
airborne off
Yeah,
of the
the-
sandbox.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So, all things considered, obviously,
I mean, it's amazing that she missed the solid cement picnic tables.
but there was no cars parked,
There
there's
were
almost
no,
always
I know,
cars,
there were no cars
How
parked
much
there.
property damage was there?
just to the sandbox.
Is it, wood, cement,
I think
I think
plaster,
it's a composite,
I think
isn't
it's
it?
like a, yeah, like a,
Trex or
like
something?
a Trex type surface.
So then, are we filing a claim with her insurance company?
So we, have filed a claim with our insurance, and they're handling the next
Subrogation.
steps.
No, subrogated.
Yeah.
So then, are we charging them for the number of days that our sandbox is out of service due to their?
I don't know, that's a great question. We worked through SCIS, and we had them,
Assessment.
informed as soon as we could, and they're pretty confident in their ability to help us. But again, sometimes these things kind of tug on your heart in weird ways, and this was just an incident that
Could have been so bad.
I
Oh my
was,
gosh.
yeah, I was really thankful that it wasn't worse, because
Is there anything we can do to ameliorate either the damage or reduce the likelihood of someone just having to?
yeah, I'm glad you asked. I think that's an important topic, something Mike brought up. I think he texted or maybe emailed me right after it happened.
Well, yeah, we've talked about it before,
Yeah.
more in terms of the SRC, but, you just never know when a rogue vehicle or someone deliberately wants to, interfere with, our buildings, and, you know, we have, we could put some large boulders there, you know, in front.
But
And
I mean, we have
protect
those.
even those picnic tables,
I think this.
they're kind of
Like if we
exposed,
have-
you know. But
It is
we need
impressive.
bollards to protect the front
And
of
see,
the
the woman behind
SRC
her,
on at
I mean,
least
no, she
I
had,
agree.
she was ahead
I
of
two or
her.
three
She
points.
pulled out,
Okay.
the only reason
And,
Carol was doing this action was to go
They could
help
be
a lady,
removable.
drop her car off, to get worked on. And so she was in a different position than she normally would be, because she usually parks and leaves to drive back to Astoria. And here, you know, it was, hey, during the pool, there was a discussion, I guess, and she said, sure, I'll help you. I have to drive right by there. And that's how she wound up at the library to coordinate following this lady. And,
I mean, it's just astonishing to me that she missed the solid picnic tables, truly, like,
Yeah,
But-
you could see the grass, the tracks of the car through the grass, and I mean, it was, I don't know, 6, 8 feet that she
Yeah.
missed the tables by, the edge of the table.
I mean, and she's okay. She's got the airbag, she's got aches and pains, and she's without a car,
yeah.
and she will recover.
Since that is a playground that is normally, has our children in it, and you know, it is directly across from the library exit, you know, I mean, we do have solid picnic tables, those, if somebody hits those, they're not going anywhere. You know, I don't know that we need, like, bollards doesn't really fit with the aesthetic, but some nice boulders or something,
Yeah.
you know, can we get a couple of space so that a car couldn't fit through?
Sure. Yeah, we'll assess. That may be something that we, hold on until like springtime, but I think
Yeah,
we've had a couple of conversations about it internally
yeah, you
about
know,
safety.
Yeah.
ancillary to that, I was, been traveling, you know, in front of the SRC frequently, coming off of, you know, is it Avenue A or Avenue B? I'm not, I guess it's Avenue B, where everybody turns left there by the surf shop. But I was there, waiting to get on the highway, and I noticed, a clean sweep pickup. I see people veer off, clean sweep veered off, cut through our parking lot, and actually they got off the headway and they accelerated. So what if something went wrong with one of those cars that are cutting through our parking lot? And then the only thing that slowed them down was the speed bumps up on the other end by the entrance.
I wonder.
So, I don't know who was driving the truck, but it was a clean sweep employee, I guess. But, there's all kinds of possibilities of things that can happen out there.
We did get some signage approved by, the city to install at that intersection, to hopefully prevent or, limit folks
Yeah.
using the SRC parking lot.
And the
as a
chamber-
cut through.
The chamber has got people coming in, driving through, they're driving through there and then going on the highway. They're shortcutting that way in front of the, recycling container.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of crazy.
I kind of wonder if maybe we could, you know, share the situation and ask the community, hey, anybody have some really giant rocks that you wanna donate, you know?
Sure. Just, not related to the accident, but kind of lumped in together as, we've seen, I think, well, every fall around this time when the weather turns a little cooler and much wetter and there's storms, we see more, transient behavior, or behavior around the district facilities that we, assume is by folks that may be looking for someplace dry, or warm to be. And, we've seen an uptick of that over the last couple weeks as well. So I'm just alerting the board and sharing with the public of the time and resources that staff are investing to, I guess, protect our assets as much as possible. And again, want to especially express appreciation for Isaiah, the technology that we have to be able to pull cameras. We had a situation in a location outside of the SRC where we knew some troubling behavior was occurring, but we didn't have a camera. And Isaiah got, I don't know if it's a temporary camera, but it may not be up to his standards in every way, but we got footage of the individual and their behavior, and we're able to address that behavior very, very quickly as a result of that footage. And once we have the footage, we can, trespass the individual, but obviously, circulate that footage, share it with the police department. So there's some significant effort, though, that takes place by staff to kind of track these events down or clean up after them. Unfortunately, we had 2 individuals on district property that were trespassed for, I wouldn't say they were trying to light our facilities on fire, but they were making fires or burning things inappropriately. And that's a pretty concerning set of behavior because we have assets that we really want to protect, right? And that we're investing a lot in, and it's highly illegal and very dangerous, right? So that's been something that's occupied a lot of, I think, all of our time over the last month. And we've got several sleuths in the district that seem to be always watching our security camera footage and finding things. So I appreciate our great staff and the way that they want to protect our assets and our facilities as well.
I've been concerned, of course, I live close to the railroad gardens, and the transients have been a real problem of vandalizing our hoses, but I've been concerned about them starting a fire over there, because that's a wood building, and they congregate now on the north side, because that's windward and out of the weather, but you can't really see that, but it would really be interesting to have a camera over there shooting down the gardens.
Yeah, I think that specific location is just challenging because of its proximity to the other facilities, but, so.
Curious about, we had a lot of rain with our storm. There was a huge puddle of water in the parking lot, the SRC parking lot, and I wasn't aware in the past that we had a drainage issue. Do you know what, if any?
The SRC parking lot, where at?
It was.
On Saturday, or?
I was driving by on Sunday after church, and it was, and what I thought was, oh good, no one's gonna speed through this SRC parking lot because you got speed bumps or water. And so.
Yeah, we've always had, I think, one troubling area with drainage and pooling water. It's probably maybe 25 yards due north of the bathrooms, if it's the same spot that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't know when we get 2 inches of water and whatever it was, 36 or 48 hours,
yeah.
It's just too much, but drains well after that, usually.
Well, it's gone. It's just, I noticed it and I thought, oh, I'm used to Safeway having the river. Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I'm monopolizing the last part of our meeting, but just wanted to provide a couple other updates. So we had our Fall Fun Fest, when was that, 10 days ago or so. I know Mike was there, appreciate Mike volunteering. I'm not sure if any other directors were there. I was there, but there was over 600 people that attended this awesome event. And I'm especially proud, Zoe is a great wrangler of volunteers, so she had 50 volunteers, including a lot of youth, with the Builders Club and Key Club for high school students. And then she did something kind of cool this year, is promote an opportunity for community organizations to have tables along the hallway. So we had 26 of our community partners that had tables, folks like Providence, Seaside Kids, our fire department, police department, Consejo Espanol, those types of organizations, and they were able to use that opportunity to engage with the community as folks were walking around. So Zoe's she's a rock star, and she does these events awesome. We have our annual shutdown coming up, starting next Monday, so we'll be closed, or the pool and fitness room will be closed for about a 2-week period. And then note just the date of our November board meeting, and then our turkey trot and community Thanksgiving meal, which we host here at the Bob Chisholm, are on Thursday, the 27th. The turkey trot is at 9 a.m. and the meal is from 12 to 2 p.m. I believe that's all I have, unless there are other questions from the board. Thanks.
I had a question,
Uh,
but I can't remember what it was.
I noticed on this turkey trot flyer, and I said, I was looking at it for a while, and I said, gee, what's the date of that? Is that on Thanksgiving Day? And then, but the date doesn't contrast, it's on the sun in white, and it doesn't really show up.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's like, okay, I like having a date, you know, if it's like, it doesn't say Thanksgiving Day, but it's on November 27th, but that didn't really jump out at me.
So, board comments. Catherine?
I don't know that I like those seats.
I'll trade you. I like to just
Board comment. Congratulations to Megan on Employee of the Month. Congratulations to Polly Cave, winner of the 4-5 Sports Aquatics. Thank you to Erin for her great program, presentation, those are the words, thank you. And I appreciate Brandon being here to discuss with us, and I look forward to completing a lot of projects in the fairly near future. Ending comment.
Okay, so, you know, I'm grateful for Marty to pushing, you know, for bringing this issue of safety back to us, and for us being able to make her feel safer, knowing that we're listening and that we're paying attention. And I thank her, because really every complaint is a gift. And so the gift of safety is something that she's pushed, and I thank her. Of course, Megan, I just love the fact that my daughter and Megan have been friends, you know, on and off, you know, long distance wise for so many years. And just, you know, Megan and Bonnie and Aaron and the good presentations, the caliber of staff that Skylar, you are responsible for, just says,
Nod and smile.
it just says that, you know, that's a quality of leadership that I appreciate in you, that you hire, you know, you and your team hire good people. And the recognition that Bonnie and previously Lindsay has for the state of Oregon, I mean, that's incredible, and feathers in your cap as well as the team. I am grateful, you know, I don't know how to say it, I am frustrated but grateful that Brandon is showing up, knowing that this document that we're trying to, I mean, I spent so many hours trying to get through the whole thing, and I'm just dismayed by what I've seen. And I wanted to not be too vocal, because I feel like, you know, we need to throw it away and bring something in. And so I am grateful for Kyle and Celeste to gather along with Skylar and hammer out something in 4 hours. Good luck. That will be, what is it, clean as a knife?
Clean as bone.
Clean, yeah. Anyway, whatever, it'll be sharp, it will be clean, it will be pristine, and I have faith in the team. I'm grateful. I think it's funny that Bob Mitchell is involved with, you know, looking at our facility, and I am just excited with anticipation and just a little bit more like, okay, what next shoe to drop for us actually getting, whether it be a temporary certificate of occupancy. I'm just excited because, you know, some city officials have talked to me that they're impatient with the process. And I said, wait till October. So here's October. I'm really proud of the collaboration that we have with Seaside Kids, and grateful that we have, you know, an executive here involved with that. I'm grateful that Carol, with this accident, walked away from it. She's got aches and pains, and, you know, there before the grace of God go I, that no children, no pedestrians, nobody was hurt. And it's just an awesome moment for me to just take in
with what could have happened. And so I hope that we can utilize this as a warning shot to say, okay, we saw this happen, how crazy it was. We have video, thank you, Isaiah. So let's do something to make our kids safer. You know, there's nothing more important. And appreciating that, you know, this was not intentional. Carol doesn't really remember what happened. But whatever it is, this is a lovely lady who I've known for several years, and you know, she's just a good person, and this was unintentional, and I'm grateful that it can turn into a learning opportunity and an opportunity for us to protect our assets, including our people, more. I want to say something because I'm grateful that that Marty came forward. I have always said that every complaint is a gift, and I do wholeheartedly support that statement. I was recently a little bit tested on that, and it's not done playing out, and I believe it will be something that I'll probably bring forward in November. There's some pieces of the puzzle that aren't in place, but it's been painful for me to deal with because it's almost felt like, in a way, kind of a secret, and it has to do with Sunset Empire Park and Rec, and I do believe that a complaint can be constructive and we move forward. It can also be almost destructive and be more hurtful, and so I need to somehow, as I flippantly say every complaint is a gift, I need to somehow framework that so that people understand you're welcome to come to me with complaints, but I'm used to taking a complaint and making progress with it, not sitting with it. And that's uncomfortable, but in my job as a nurse, I had a way to go process that. And what I have right now as a volunteer is a way to hold on to it, and I am working at trying to make sense of it and make progress with it, and I hope that that can happen in November, and then I'll feel a whole lot better than I do right now. And so I want to commend our board, and I want to commend the team that we are part of representing in Sunset Empire Park and Rec through Skylar, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Sue. Michael?
Well, of course, I think it's great that Megan, gosh, she's been around here a long time. I didn't realize she'd been here over 27 years.
She doesn't even look like she's 27 years old. Or
Yeah,
maybe
love
I'm
that.
just so old.
Yeah, it really is great. Bonnie Cave is really a fine individual, and he makes the district proud to, you know, receive awards like that, and it's great that someone on staff saw it, or maybe a participant, you know, got him nominated. I think that was really outstanding. And by the way, then I want to mention that Seaside Kiwanis, of which I'm a president, so we're going to have our luncheon meeting, our regular weekly meeting. We're going to visit the meal site this Thursday and just kind of hang out with them, see what they're doing, and do a little outreach, and get us out of the pig and pancake for one day, which has its benefits too. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Anyway, good discussion tonight.
So Celeste texted me and said she had 5% battery life yet.
She's still there?
Are you still online, Celeste?
I think what I saw is she's gone.
She's gone, okay.
She's having too much fun.
So I'm going to echo some of the thoughts of regarding Bonnie and Megan, but two little additions. You know, Bonnie never accepted the praise for himself.
Yeah.
He never said thank you. He said it wasn't me, it was these other people. And I respect the humility, but sometimes, you know, you just
generous
need to take the credit. So So Bonnie, shut up and take your credit. And Megan, I think we kind of passed over it, but she earned her EMT.
Yep.
And that gives us a fair, if she's used in that capacity, that gives us a fair amount more capabilities in pool building. I think that it's hard work, and I'm glad she did that, so thank you, Megan. Brandon, I know this is hard for Brandon. I mean, it's not his bailiwick, he just wants to get it done, and I respect that. And, I know he's working hard, and he's gonna get this thing done, but, we just need to stay with it. Marty, appreciate your comments. I think hopefully we'll see some progress and maybe, move on from there. Staff, just general comment about staff. When, Skylar did the analysis of the number of incidents that we have, it's like, holy cow, there's a lot. And staff's ability to manage these crises, and there were what, 200 and some in 5 years, that's one a week. I mean, they're handling a crisis a week. That's a lot, and I'm proud that they're able to do that, and they've been trained and conditioned and provided the tools to take care of problems when they happen. My final comment is about Chris. Is there exposure? I'm not sure what's happening with food benefits now, but is Chris's food supply going to be okay?
Everything that we've been told, his food supply and the funding for his program are not going to be impacted.
Okay.
I do think it's reasonable to assume, though, that there may be more people that might need access to the program and other local food sources.
Yeah, those meals are funded by a act,
the American
adults or something, so it's ordinated by law. By law, they have to fund that program.
The Food for Kids
Well,
program?
yeah, well, I just want to make sure that.
Senior disabled meals.
That
Yeah.
if something happens, whatever it is, we've got a backup plan, because these people, I mean, I've been there a couple times in my tenure, and there's some people that need to be there, and this is the nutrition they get during the day.
But they need the meals delivered, they might need more meals delivered or more meals to pick up, so there could be more demand on the meal side.
Yeah, so anyway, that's on my radar. I hope that, Chris does such a marvelous job managing that.
It could be our youth programs might need more food too, if they're not getting enough food in the home.
Right, or maybe, I don't know, I know the schools are really good at providing food.
They, have it built in their budget, we approve it for some lunch.
Yep,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. Okay, that's all I have.
So before you adjourn, I had a conversation at the monthly lunch with the 11 o'clock arthritis class, and there was questioning there about how can they give donations to the food bank and what donations are needed. And I said something about getting Darren
Oh,
to come
good
say.
news, Girl Scouts is doing a fundraiser.
We had,
Well, they were interested in giving money.
we had, Darren was our guest speaker last week, and we got an update on the food bank. And, they're doing pretty well financially. They actually received a grant, from an estate, $134,000, and they just put that into CDs, but they, money-wise, they're doing okay, but they do expect, I think they have 900 clients a month or something, maybe a week, but they are expecting a higher demand on the food bank.
Well, and I tried to mention our Food for Kids program that's done on Fridays to the Lutheran Church. We went, when finances changed, we went from 80 families to 141 in a week that we are managing to supply food for. And I think that's just a tip of the iceberg. So we're trying.
Well, in a country that can feed its population 6 times over, it just makes me sick that there are people going hungry. That's all I have to say.
So I wondered if Darren could just come to the pool
before the 11 o'clock class and say, hey, I understand you want to do this. I was going to go ask him, but I didn't get time. I don't think he's here.
He's been out sick for a couple of days, but I hope he'll be back soon.
Is there any other business to come before the board?
I move the adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor, say yee-haw.
Yee-haw.